for the second technical session. So the second technical session goes in this manner. First, we have a short presentation by Tree Campus Academy. Post that, we have the second technical session on capital markets, and after that, we have the panel discussion. On panel, we have a panel discussion. So without further delay, I would like to start the second session with a presentation by young Krishna Mittal, who is the founder of Tree Campus Academy. Tree Campus Academy is a charitable organization, and they have made an app to enhance your soft skills. It is basically a free app, and we can just log into it, and there are videos to enhance your soft skills. So over to you, Krishna.
Look around you. Everyone here is a chartered accountant. Let me start by telling you the story of a chartered accountant. He grew up in Rajasthan and went to a Hindi medium school. When he came to Kolkata to pursue his chartered accountancy, his first challenge was in the study of accountancy, but to understand the medium of communication and learning, English. That chartered accountant is my father, Mr. B.L. Mittal. In fact, to be a part of this very conversation, whether to be a listener or a participant, you need to know English. I would not be giving this presentation today if I didn't speak English. English is an integral tool to succeed personally and professionally in our nation. Whether it to become a CA or an insurance agent, engage in academic discourse, or communicate with people from around the world. It is the language of science, business, aviation, computers, diplomacy, and tourism. The profound educational challenges our nation faces have proved to be an obstacle to learning this universal language. But where there's a problem, there's a solution. We are in a nation where Hindi is the most spoken language and is our national official language. Every state has this native language. Ours is Bengali. We launched Tree Campus Academy, a charitable organization, to make learning easy, from Bengali to English, from Hindi to English. And this is all free and will always be free. Our mobile and web apps are more than just platforms. They are lifelines for those hungry to learn. With vibrant content, captivating videos, and the joy of gamification, we are breaking the shackles of traditional learning. Our live sessions on Zoom and Google Meet, combined with partnerships with schools, make education accessible and dynamic. Envision a place where boundaries to education dissolve. Tree Campus offers this dream, free of charge. With our course material meticulously curated by seasoned educators, our platform is a realm where learning thrives around the clock, offering flexibility and autonomy. Our guiding light is our mission, to make the journey of learning an easy one. We aim to transform it from a mere obligation to a delightful adventure. A glimpse into our app reveals a rich tapestry of world-class courses, assessments to test your knowledge, live classes to get an interactive experience. We are live on Android, where we offer our courses on learning English for Hindi and Bengali speakers. With a footprint in over 40 schools and touching 1 lakh lives, our journey has just begun. We aim to be the one-stop destination for learning languages and to eventually ignite 1 billion aspirations. As you can see in these visuals, our partnerships are diverse, spanning government schools and beyond. Our endeavors haven't gone unnoticed. The media has celebrated our mission, magnifying our reach and impact. These pictures transport you to our live sessions at Girls ITI Faridabad and others. They are more than images. They are proof of lives being transformed. We received this award from Jagran Josh for innovative use of science and technology at the Education Summit and Awards 2023 back in March. Our Tree campus is an open door to a world where Hindi and Bengali speakers are smoothly transitioned into confident English communicators. Let's delve deeper into one particular feature, gamification. We have several games such as Lock and Key for learning synonyms and antonyms and Conversation Spokey for learning spoken English. This feature has been widely effective because it makes learning incredibly fun and doesn't make it feel like a task. And now, our latest feature, Khala Hobe. This isn't just a game, it's a bridge. Plain Bengali, emerge learning English. This encapsulates our ethos. Learning can and should be fun. 1 lakh students have completed the course for free on this app. This means that they can now dream big. In closing, I extend a heartfelt thank you for joining us on this voyage. Tree Campus Academy is more than an initiative, it's a movement, and we invite you to be its catalysts by encouraging your employees, family, and friends to take advantage of this resource. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. Most of us in the hall are, I'm sure, involved in the capital markets in some form or the other. Our second technical session deals with capital market, and the topic is capital market is a barometer of economic development, myth or reality, which is going to be dealt by Mr. Ajay Bagga. CABL Mittal is the chairman of the session. We welcome you, sirs, to our annual conference. I request CADS Agarwal, President, to escort the chairman of the session, CABL Mittal, to the dais. I request Sanjay Bajoria, Chairman Conference Committee, and CA Rajesh Agarwal, Senior Vice President, DTPA, to escort the speaker of the session, Mr. Ajay Bagga, to the dais. During this session, we will be conducting few polls, the modalities of which will be shared by you in due course. CABL Mittal, a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Company Secretaries of India, and the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. He is the founder and executive chairman of Sasta Sundar, which is into digital platform of pharma supply chain and diagnostic services. Mr. Mittal is having an experience of more than 25 years in financial services and digital platform of healthcare. He has founded the Tree Campus Academy to facilitate easy learning for all. I request our past president, C. Agur Dodewala, to come forward and present a shawl to CABL Mittal. I request CA Girdhar Delia, Executive Committee member, to present a memento to CABL Mittal. Mr. Ajay Bagga, Chairman Elements Platform, is a veteran of the Indian financial services industry with more than 33 years of experience in capital markets, banking, fund management and structured finance. Starting his career with Citibank in 1990, he has held senior posts at Citigroup, Pioneer Funds, General Electric, Fullerton Funds of Temasek and Deutsche Bank. He was the youngest CEO of the mutual fund industry, heading Kotak Mahindra Asset Management and Lotus India Asset Management. He is a private investor both in public and in the private space and serves on the board of many companies. He is a regular contributor to both electronic and print media and has made innumerable appearances on TV to share his thoughts. I request our Senior Vice President, C. A. Rajesh Agarwal, to present him a shawl. I request C. Ankit Bothra, our Conference Committee member, to come forward and present a memento to him. I now request CA DS Agarwal, President DTPA, to introduce the second technical session. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Sri B.L. Mittalji, Sri Ajay Bagaji, my colleagues, on and off the dais, past presidents, DTPA members, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome back to our post-lunch session. I hope you all had a satisfying lunch. As we gather here once again, I would like to extend my warmest greetings to each and every one of you. Friends, most of the times a question comes to our mind, is capital market a true barometer of economic development? Well, our current economy is poised to become a $5 trillion Indian economy. So, naturally a question comes to our mind, do the capital market movements really reflect the country's economic growth, or it's a mixed conception? Further, what can be the impact of past events and recent developments on the economy and capital markets in particular, and what's the future way forward? To answer all such questions and note more, we have none other than Sri B.L. Mittalji as session chairman and Sri Ajay Bagaji as our session speaker. So let's dive into this session with enthusiasm and eagerness to learn. Now I request Sri Sanjay Bajoria ji, conference chairman, to take it forward. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Friends, after the direct and indirect tax sessions in the morning, now we are in for some different sessions. This will be a capital market session and the next one will be a panel discussion session. So in this capital market session, as Mr. Bagga would be enlightening us about the capital markets and delivering his speech, in between his PPT, he will be prompting us and we will post 5 posers, 5 polls, 5 questions. Those questions will come on the delegates WhatsApp group. You are all part of the delegate WhatsApp groups, right? So those will be posted there. The questions will also be flashed here, but you can participate only on your mobile. You'll see the questions here, but you see the mobiles when the flash is there. The questions will be posted there by Shyam, and then you can open the question, put in your answers. There'll be 5 such questions at different points of time as Mr. Bagga will announce, and the results we will announce at the end. The questions will be interesting, I can assure you that. Thank you. Now Mr. B.L. Mittal is to give his opening remarks.
Thank you, friends. I strongly welcome Mr. Bagga here, all from Mumbai. I welcome all of you in this esteemed conference of DTPA. DTPA lies at my heart, and at DTPA with Agor Babus, we had a great seminar on capital market, and seeing the another great seminar on various topics gives me most happiness. So before that, I was just coming from the office. So my office person said, how does it make any difference whether reflect or not reflect? Paisa banna chahiye at the end of the day. So questions you should debate where to make money rather than going theoretically whether capital market reflect nation's economy or not. So, and most of the persons you are here are more interested of making money rather than going theoretically, and I am sure Bagaji will elaborate how to make money out of it. So I was just discussing with him some of the questions which we narrate in the daily life, So I was just discussing with him during the lunch, and he said to me that, most of the people lose money in trading. Trading is the most debacles, and one should never trade. And I have noted down some of the questions for him to deliberate on his speech. Those come from the common sense or common sayings which we listen. So there is one Marwari lokokti, जो करे बेटा पाठ को, जो करे बेटा फाट को, वो घर को न घाट को, जो करे बेटा फाट को, वो घर को न घाट को, रे वह कटोरी न बाट को. So this is what the trading is all about, and the reflection obviously is the main topic of this conference. So definitely there are two aspects which we request Bagaji to elaborate upon. One is the price and one is the earning. So one is definitely a subject matter of fundamentals, and one is subject matter of the narratives. And most of the scripts I found in my life career is ups and down by the narratives. That is good for short term and medium term, but in the long term, so there is again one very good sayings in Marwadi is that बीननी को मुंडो बाद में दिखे चूनड़ी की चमक पहली. So in that reflects in the stock market also, that once you make an arrangement, there is रस्म called मुंह दिखाई, उसमें चूनड़ी से ही पहले पता लगा लेते थे कि अंदर क्या है. अंदर तो पता नहीं, बाद में पता चलता था कि बीननी कैसी है. तो यही कैपिटल मार्केट में आई हैव सीन दैट to look the face of the bride and look the fundamentals may take long time. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow you can only see the perception, and how the goal based investing is important rather than going by the perception. That is again a story, and there is again a good Marwari lokokti which says that na kaalo na goro lampat mein choro. तो इसमें एक कहते हैं कि whether son, you have a son, whether he's black or he's beautiful handsome does not matter. जब आपका अंतिम संस्कार हो तो लंपट देने आ जाना चाहिए. And that applies on stock market also. Wherever you invest, my experience is that when you need money, that should come. And when you need money, that देखे कि market down है, कहीं नहीं आएगा. So not taking much of the time, I would request Bagaji to tell us definitely the story of reflection of capital market and development, but how to make money in this market. Thank you, Bagaji.
Good afternoon. Namaskar. Thank you very much, Calcutta, for hosting me. Always a pleasure to be here. And ये दिल से कह रहा हूँ, I am received at the airport, और जब तक they make sure कि भाई चढ़ गया है, पायलट से हाथ मिलवा के और साथ में मिठाई बांध के भेजते हैं. तो कहीं ऐसा सत्कार नहीं होता है जितना कलकत्ता करता है. So thank you very much. और हमारे वरिष्ठ मित्तल जी ने बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन पूछे, और मेरा भी एक उनसे क्वेश्चन है. सर आप ऐसा कैसे कर लेते? टॉपिक तो मुझे कुछ और दिया गया था, बट 2 दिन से मैं सोच रहा था और काफ़ी मेहनत किया इस प्रेजेंटेशन में. और मेरा क्या है, ओपन सोर्स है ना, मेरा कोई कॉपीराइट है ना कुछ. मेरे नाम से बहुत टेलीग्राम चैनल चल रहे हैं, बहुत ट्विटर चल रहे हैं, बहुत सारे लोग सर्विसेज भी बांटते हैं, और कई लोग उसमें फंस भी जाते हैं. मैं लिखता रहता हूँ पुलिस को, सेबी को हटाने में, बट इनफैक्ट वो आजकल कोई सर्विस भी आ गई है कि वी विल रिमूव योर ऑल योर फॉल्स हैंडल्स, और आप हमें पे करिए. मैं बोला वो तो बना रहे हैं पैसे, और मैं ऊपर से आपको दूँ, करने दो, जिसकी रोटी चल रही है. तो ये प्रेजेंटेशन whoever wants please take it, use it as your own, you don't need to attribute to me. कोई आके पकड़ेगा मेरा माल चुराया तो आपका होगा जिम्मेवारी. बट मेरे दिमाग की उपज है. तो जैसे मित्तल जी आपने कहा, ये दिस इज अमेजिंग टेलीपैथी. और ये हम ना जब सिखाते थे फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग, मैं चेयरमैन रह चुका हूँ फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स बोर्ड का. कुछ अगर पुराने हैं आप CFSP, तो आपके सर्टिफिकेट पे मेरा साइन रहा होगा कुछ साल. तो हम कहते थे देखिए आपको गाड़ी चलानी सीखनी है, आपको कार्बोरेटर से कचरा निकालना, आपको हर चीज़ गाड़ी को खोल के देखना, भाई कितने पिस्टन है, कितना है, ये सब आपको नहीं चाहिए। ये पता है कि अच्छा इतना पानी होना चाहिए, इतना कूलेंट होना चाहिए, वो इतना आप देख लीजिए। बाकी रोड सेंस है और पहुंचने की क्षमता, द एबिलिटी टू रीच टू योर डेस्टिनेशन rather than knowing everything about the car. So in finance, your jobs are different. You know, I'm not saying tax, you have to know everything. We depend on you to save us from the all the wrong inducements people might give and to file our returns properly. You have to do it. But in financial planning, financial management, what we say, destination tak pahunchna hai. With good means, बैड मीन से नहीं, विद गुड ड्राइविंग सेंस, बट आपको ड्राइविंग सेंस सीखनी है। गाड़ी कैसे बनी, किसने बनाया, वो डाइमलर बेंज था, उसने इन्वेंट किया इंटरनल कंबशन इंजन, बैटरी कितनी भारी है, क्या हो रहा है, वो सब इज ऑल साइड। सो मित्तल जी, थैंक यू फॉर सेटिंग द टोन। आपने बहुत अच्छा एक पृष्ठभूमि दे दी इस टॉक की। मेरे पास ऐसे कुछ 1000 स्लाइड्स हैं, आज मैं 50 तक बताऊंगा, उसमें 4-5 ही आपको लर्निंग्स हैं, ज़्यादा मुश्किल नहीं है। बहुत अच्छा खाना था और श्रावण के मास में थैंक यू वेरी मच कलकत्ता, बिना प्याज बिना गार्लिक के दे दिया, नहीं तो आज सोचा था ब्रेड और बटर पे ही चलेगा। तो हमने भी खूब खाया, आपने भी खाया। तो देखिए जो भी पसंद आए इसमें से ले लीजिए। दिस इज़ नथिंग न्यू, ऑलरेडी मित्तल जी ने ज़्यादातर आंसर दे दिए। हम पोल करते रहेंगे बीच में ताकि देखते रहें, जागते रहो। आपके व्हाट्सएप पे आएगा तो वो पोल कर दीजिए, मैं भी लिख लूँगा और फिर एंड में देखेंगे। तो उससे फाइनेंशियल प्रोफेशनल्स की क्या सोच है, व्हाट इज़ द समरी ऑफ द थिंकिंग, वो बहुत अच्छा, ये दिस इज़ अ वेरी गुड इनोवेशन दैट वी हैव डन हियर। सो कॉन्ग्रेट्स टू द ऑर्गेनाइजर्स अगेन। शाम ये चलेगा? हाँ, या बैटरी बदली होगी 3-4 साल पहले। हाँ, ये हर वक्त होता है ना, माइक भी आप बीच माइक में, या तो वो होती है कॉन्स्पिरेसी होती है। हाँ, आ गया शाम आ गया। आप करते जाइए, मैं नेक्स्ट कर दूंगा। हाँ, आप कर लीजिए, सोइएगा मत, बस सुनते रहिए। हाँ, so risk disclaimer, see these days I try to stay as invisible as I can because जिंदगी भर मैंने इतना compliance किया, डॉइच बैंक का कंट्री हेड था, सिटी बैंक में सीनियर था, compliance कर कर के थक गया था। तो अब मैंने कोई सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं लिया, इसलिए मैं पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक्स इवन ऑफलाइन किसी से बात नहीं करता हूँ, यहाँ तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। एक स्लाइड है म्यूचुअल फंड्स की, वो मैं समझाऊंगा क्यों मैं बोल रहा हूँ। वो वाले फंड नहीं खरीदने प्लीज़, मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ खरीदने के लिए, जस्ट आपको समझाने के लिए, वो रोड सेंस दिखाने के लिए कि मंजिल तक जाना है तो कैसे जाना है। तो ये रिस्क डिस्क्लेमर्स हैं कि बेसिकली यही है, संक्षेप में यही है कि मेरी बात मत मानिए, आई एम वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट और मैं आपको गुमराह करने वाला हूँ, तो सचेत हो जाइए, जागृत हो जाइए। थैंक यू। ऑल फाइन टिल नाउ? एनीवन फॉलन ऑफ द चेयर? बच्चे लोग देख लो, कोई गिरा हो कुर्सी से सोते सोते। हाँ, सो हाउ टू गेट रिच इन द मार्केट्स, दैट्स ऑल। चला गया। हाँ, आगे। आई हैव समराइज फॉर यू 10 ways. 10 ways इज टंग इन चीक, तो थोड़ा सा हास्य व्यंग भी है आपको दिखाने के लिए। डिग्री ऑफ डिफिकल्टी, likelihood of success and time needed to amass a fortune by these 10 methods. There will be many more. भगवान तक पहुंचने के बहुत रास्ते हैं, फाइनेंशियल सक्सेस के भी बहुत रास्ते हैं, आप अपना रास्ता खोजिए। बट जो मित्तल जी ने कहा बहुत सही कहा, सबसे अग्रिम हमें क्या रखना है, हमारा गोल क्या है। अगर आप अपना फाइनेंशियल गोल सामने रखेंगे और उसके अराउंड फाइनेंशियल काम सारा करेंगे, यू विल बी मच मोर सक्सेसफुल रादर देन कि आज ये स्टॉक भाग रहा है, ये टर्न अराउंड स्टोरी है, इसमें इतना पैसा बनाता हूँ, उसमें बनता नहीं है। क्योंकि हमारे से बहुत बड़े महारथी बैठे हुए हैं जिनको ये सब समझ है, वो दाना डालते हैं कि हम चुकते चुकते जाएं और हमारी जेब से पैसे निकल जाएं। तो अपना गोल देखना है, उसके अराउंड एसेट एलोकेशन करेंगे तो बहुत फ़ायदे में रहेंगे। बहुत सिंपल है, तो किसी बड़े बुजुर्ग ने कहा है वेरी सिंपल बट नॉट ईजी। सिंपल है बट हार्ड है, करता कोई नहीं है, क्योंकि बिहेवियर बायस हमारे बहुत हैं, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती हैं। थोड़ा बात करेंगे उसके बारे में भी। सो हाउ टू गेट रिच इन द मार्केट्स, 10 ways, and I'm trying to give you degree of difficulty, likelihood of success. तो जितना ऊपर है 10 में से नंबर दे रहा हूँ तीनों को। सो 10 by 10 मीन्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट, एंड 10 by 10 लाइकलीहुड मीनिंग नियरली इम्पॉसिबल है, बट कर लीजिए। हर एक एवरी जनरेशन मेक्स इट्स ओन मिस्टेक्स। आप सिखा भी दें तो कोई सुनता नहीं। नेक्स्ट, तो फर्स्ट मेथड, find the next apple, apple as in the company, not the same. Unloved, undiscovered, undervalued at the right time, then just buy and wait. Degree of difficulty 10 by 10, बहुत मुश्किल है, बहुत कम लोग ढूंढ पाएंगे। और जो ज़्यादातर बोलते भी हैं स्टेज से, उनसे सिर्फ एक प्रश्न करिए। मैं हर वक्त करता हूँ, वो कहते मैंने जी अमेज़ॉन खरीदा था 2000 में, $5 में, अभी इतना हो गया, ये सब। बोला आज का अमेज़ॉन कौन है सर, बता दीजिए। कोई नहीं बताता। तो वो हाइंडसाइट इज परफेक्ट विजन, रियर व्यू मिरर 20/20 रहता है। आगे जो बताए वही सिकंदर है। डिग्री इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, लाइकलीहुड ऑफ सक्सेस वेरी लिटिल, बट इसको सीखना चाहिए। वी मस्ट लर्न दिस। क्यों, पता नहीं कुछ हो जाए। आई जॉइंट सिटी बैंक, उस टाइम पे एक सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनी थी सिटी बैंक की, और हमें तब तनख्वाह थी 55,000 रुपीज़ पर एनम, नॉट पर मंथ। तो 8,000 रुपये के शेयर थे, तो उतना तो होता नहीं था, क्योंकि जो चमरी में हमारे हाउसकीपर होते थे वो बताते थे कि हम रोज़ 1 किलो टमाटर, 1 किलो प्याज, 1 किलो आलू, 1 किलो भिंडी खाते हैं। तो उनके बिल में ही सारी तनख्वाह जाती थी। फादर से पैसे मंगाते थे जीने के लिए सिटी बैंक में। तो 8,000 भरे, बड़ी मुश्किल से भरे, और फिर भूल गए वो शेयर्स। 92 का वो 8,000 का शेयर आज 23 लाख डिविडेंड देता है, और वो जो उसका वेटेड कॉस्ट मेरा 50 पैसा होगा मेरे ख्याल से, वो अभी 4,000 के करीब चलता है, 3,900, 4,000, जैसे उसका मन होता है उसके बीच में चलता है। और वो 4-5-10 साल से रिटर्न नहीं दिया है, बट आई एम सो मच इन लव विद इट। आई एम नॉट ए रैशनल मैन। तो हम सब सिखाते हैं रैशनल ह्यूमन बीइंग, यू ऑप्टिमाइज, यू मैक्सिमाइज योर रिटर्न पोटेंशियल। बट जब 50 पैसे पे 4,000 मिले, तो वो जिंदगी में कई बारी लग जाता है। तुक्का था, मेरा कोई उसमें हाथ नहीं था, एक्सेप्ट माई लेजीनेस एंड माई प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन। मेरे सब दोस्तों ने बेच दिया 400 रुपये में, 600 रुपये में, हॉलीडे ले ली, मेरा पड़ा रहा। और उसके बाद फिर लगा यार एक चीज़ तो कमाई ज़िंदगी में, रहने दो। इस साल 25 लाख का डिविडेंड आ गया। तो आते आते ऐसे हो जाता है। आप देखिए, जिसने ICICI बैंक में IPO में डाले, 35 रुपये का IPO आया था, वो इतना कर करा के आज के दिन में डिविडेंड मिलता है उससे ज़्यादा, क्योंकि वो स्प्लिट हो गया, शेयर बोनस भी दिया, सब करा के 20-25 साल हो गए। थोड़े एग्जाम्पल्स दूंगा आपको कि सिर्फ मेरा ही निजी अनुभव नहीं, वॉरेन बफेट का क्या अनुभव है वो दिखाऊंगा। टाइम नीडेड 5 से 20 साल। इसमें बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टडी है। नेक्स्ट, ये किताब 100 बैगर्स, पढ़ सकें तो पढ़ें, क्रिस मायर्स की है। और ये बता रहे हैं कि 1962 to 2014 he analyzed American companies. There were 365 companies which went up 100 times. 100 times बहुत बड़ा लगता है, बट आप देखेंगे हम तो इंडिया में तो सोने की खान पे बैठे हैं। मैं दिखाऊंगा अभी। On average, companies took about 26 years to reach 100. So 15 से 35 साल के बीच में औसतन companies were doing that. Most of them started as small cap. So some of you at lunchtime were asking, micro cap, small cap, ज़रूर करना चाहिए, but diversified रख के। तो मेरा 8,000, मेरे फादर के 8,000 जा रहे थे, मुझे इतना गम नहीं था, जाते भी तो चले जाते। तो फादर से लेके डालिए, अपना मत डालिए माइक्रो कैप में, पता नहीं कौन ऑपरेटर चला रहा है, कौन कर रहा है। पड़ोसी के डालिए, बट अपने नाम में रखिए. So small caps, 170 million in revenues, 500 million market cap when they started, and they all were 100 times. What is the biggest thing? You're all tax professionals and you know how to calculate it better than I will ever do in my life, working capital cycle, everything you know very well. Best surrogate, if you ask one mantra to predict the success of a stock, return on equity. Return on equity high है, ultimately रोध होके वो वहीं पहुंचेगा. So वो बेंजामिन ग्राहम क्या कह गए 100 साल पहले, in the short term market is sentiments, voting, it is a voting machine, so fads, fashion, momentum, sentiment. In the long term it is always a weighing machine. कितना fundamentals है, and fundamental का best attribute है आपका return on equity. तो जो what I do is every year, once a year I do 6,000 कंपनियां, उसमें से 4,000 इस लायक हैं कि आप देखें भी, वो निकाल के आई टेक आउट द हाई ROE, फिर मैं बाकी फिल्टर्स लगाता हूँ. बट दैट इज माई स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट एंड दैट वर्क्स. सो इनकी भी स्टडी से यही निकला, हाई ROE, हाई प्रॉफिट मार्जिन. जिसका प्रॉफिट मार्जिन हाई है, हाँ ज़रूर बहुत सारे लोग आएंगे अंदर, कंपटीशन विल कम. भाई 50% बना रहा है, 70% ये बना रहे हैं, चलो हम भी ज्वाइन करते हैं. बट इन्होंने देखा कि ये इकोनॉमिक मोट और रनवे जब है, दोज कंपनीज विल कंटिन्यू टू डू वेल. एंड थर्ड, नो सरप्राइज, फैमिली ओन्ड कंपनीज आउट परफॉर्म. सो दे हैव अ बिलियनियर्स इंडेक्स. व्हाट इज ओन्ड बाय बिलियनियर्स, दैट वाज अबाउट 7% बेटर देन द मार्केट. सो बिकॉज प्रमोटर को सब दिखता है. मैं आई वर्कड इन MNCs, आई वर्क फॉर लालाज. Lala will know every rupee. And we as managers will keep on giving ourselves higher salaries, higher bonus, trips. माँ को मिलने जाना है तो बिजनेस ट्रिप बना लो और फिर 2 दिन गायब हो जाओ. लाला will ask me every day, हाँ जी क्या हो रहा है, कहाँ पे हो. So that family owned was an outperformer because of the sheer ownership that is there vis-a-vis the management led companies. That came out very well. Let me try. Yeah. Now, what is the good news? Was this good? Something? The best thing is, in India, the market itself has done 2 times, 100 times. We created Sensex in 1986, 79 को 100 रखा. It crossed 10,000 in 2006. So 100 times तो आपका market ही दे गया. If you had just held an index fund for 27 years, you would have made 100 times your money. सोचिए. एंड ये तो ठीक है, थियोरेटिकल है, क्योंकि 79 में सेंसेक्स नहीं था, हमने ऐसे ही बना दिया, चलो 100 कर लेते हैं 79 का. 86 में जो सेंसेक्स का लेवल था कैलकुलेटेड 574, that became 58,000 despite everything happening in 35 years. So we have seen in India the market itself giving, and I can give you about 200 companies which have given 200 to 4,000 times levels kind of returns in the last 30 years. That is the kind of wealth all around us, very difficult to find. What is happening is very few companies in a very small period of time give you all the market returns. So most of the market, what Mittalji said, trading 2 to 7% of the time, market gives all its rising returns. 2 to 7% time. तो उस टाइम आप छुट्टी पे आप नहीं है, मार्केट में नहीं है, अगर invested, you miss the return. So that's why we keep on saying, I'll tell you the mantras ahead. Sham, good to flash one question. फोन अगर गिर गया हो किसी का, सोते सोते उठा लीजिए नीचे से. ये क्वेश्चन आया आपको. इज कैपिटल मार्केट अ ट्रू बैरोमीटर ऑफ इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट? यस, नो, कांट से. वो राज्यसभा की तरह हमारे पास चिट्स नहीं है, तो आपको अपने फ़ोन पे ही डालना पड़ेगा। Done? Next. No, not the question. Okay, we can do the question also. Okay. Which sector can outperform the index in the next 1 year? Information technology, infrastructure, manufacturing, pharma, banking, financial services, insurance, entire BFSI. Sorry? Second didn't come? Abhi aaya. It just come. It just come. Now we can go to the presentation. So Indian market has given you 100%, 100 times returns. 20-25 साल 30 साल लगते हैं, so one generation लग जाती है. In a previous role, I have advised 27 out of the top 100 richest families in India made their financial planning. Lot of families I saw, grandfather had bought land outside the town and they forgot about it, left it, protected it, and that made superordinate profits. So there are various ways to make that money, but we have something simple for us. 500 rupees SIP you can start in the index and wait 30 years. I'll not be around, but you will know the answer. Next. मैं करूं? Okay. Very interesting chart. हाँ, इस पे ज़्यादा अच्छा दिख रहा है, मैं वहाँ देख रहा हूँ. This is the market cap to GDP. Warren Buffett uses this to predict the direction of the market. This is the Indian market cap to GDP, and from about 2000 we have shown it. See, in 2007 it had gone as high as 160. Market was overvalued. उस टाइम में 2002 से जब ये 20 था मार्केट कैप टू जीडीपी, 3000 का सेंसेक्स था. हर्षद के टाइम 92 में 3000 क्रॉस किया था, 4000 था उसके टाइम. 10 साल मार्केट हैड नॉट गिवन रिटर्न्स, एंड देन व्हेन इट मूव्ड, इट जस्ट मूव्ड. 3000 का 21,000 हो गया 5 साल 7 साल में. यानी 2002 April to 2008 January, हाँ. So under 6 years, 7 times return दे गया. If you were out of the market, lot of people had said ये सट्टा बाजार है, इसमें नहीं डालना, फिक्स इनकम में डालो, फिक्स डिपॉजिट बनाओ. 7 times दे गया रिटर्न. फिर 5 साल कहीं नहीं गया. जनवरी 2008 में जब 21,000 हिट किया, फिर 2013 में 21,000 क्रॉस किया, बिकॉज ये ग्रेट फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस आ गया था बीच में. सो दिस इज अ गुड वे टू सी इट. एंड इसमें द वन बिगेस्ट लर्निंग टुडे, वन इज ROE, I told you. Second is just plant your thinking. What topic we were talking, economy, does it reflect the markets? If Indian economy is going to 5 trillion, 6 trillion, and you have this chart showing you that on average we are 100, so 1:1 ratio है market का और economy का. Your market today of 3 trillion will probably be 6 trillion by 2030, 2031. Should you be invested or not? Irrespective of in what? होना चाहिए कि नहीं. पूरा foreigners आके खरीद रहे हैं. 56,000 crores of our banks they bought in the last 3 months. Good thing is India is putting $40 billion a year now. So 14,000 crores every month in SIP from you and me. 5 crore SIPs are coming in, 14,000 crores. Mutual funds and insurance, and सबसे अच्छा Provident Fund, EPFO, is putting about 53,000 crores a year in the market. 53. So Indian money itself of $40 billion is coming into this market. That's why जब 2021 से FIs started selling and they kept selling through 2022, we didn't go down. We didn't go up also. 17,500 के इर्द गिर्द घूमते रहे, 5% ऊपर 5% नीचे, बट वी हेल्ड आवर ओन. नहीं तो ये 12,000 का मार्केट हो जाता, क्योंकि इंडियन मनी वॉज कमिंग इन, एंड दिस विल ओनली ग्रो. यू नो, व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड वर्किंग, यू वुड गो टू अ फॉरेन कंट्री, टीवी चैनल क्या दिखता था उनका अपना, और जापानीज चैनल, Saudi Arabic channel. When I went, I remember as an intern, we were sent by Citibank for training. Various countries we worked in, and 50, 60 of us from various countries used to be there. We used to get $20. That was the government limit per day, and we had to file in triplicate. RBI को report जाता था कहाँ $20 लगाए. Saudis, we used to look, they could buy anything they wanted. अब वो टाइम आ रहा है, दिस इज द थर्ड लर्निंग, वेयर पीपल विल से ओ इंडियन आ रहा है, इंडियन आ रहा है. जो समोसे बिक रहे हैं वो स्विट्जरलैंड के माउंटेन रिजॉर्ट के नीचे, गुजराती एंड पंजाबी गुरमुखी में साइंस हैं कनाडा के अंदर. तो पीपल विल से द इंडियंस एज अ फोर्स, आर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स अब्रॉड, एंड बेसिकली व्हाट दिस कंट्री विल स्टैंड फॉर. इट्स नॉट अ पॉलिटिकल रिटोरिक, इट्स हैपनिंग. 5 साल नहीं लगेगा, 7 साल लग जाएगा, आने वाला है. और सबसे बड़ी चीज़ है आर डेमोग्राफिक्स. दैट इज़ अ डिजास्टर ऑल्सो इफ यू हैव अनस्किल्ड पीपल एंड यू कांट क्रिएट जॉब्स फॉर देम, बट देर इज़ अ डिविडेंड ऑल्सो इनहेरेंट इन इट. यू कट आउट 200-250 million of the most productive Indians also. It's a massive country in itself. तो ये टाइम आ रहा है, इसको लूज मत करें. Go and start your SIPs on Monday itself. That is very critical. My generation did not do it. Making this presentation only, I was realizing कि कितना बड़ा, I can't use unparliamentary language what I was thinking of myself. Second, faster, cheaper, better. Start a company. Innovate, invent something, startup nation I am, third biggest startup economy in the world, build, monetize, sell out. Degree of difficulty बहुत मुश्किल है, 9/10. Likelihood of success 2 लिखा मैंने, actually it should be 0.5/10. 9/10 तो 1 साल के सामने नहीं रहेंगे on average, but जो 0.5 जो निकल जाएगा ना, वो 1000 टाइम्स बनेगा. इसको पावर लॉ कहते हैं. सो स्टूडेंट्स हियर, चेक आउट पावर लॉ. दैट्स हाउ योर PE guys work. They will lose money in a lot of companies, but the ones who go successful, they will go 1000, 2000, 4000 times. वो सारे पाप धो देते हैं. Time needed 2 to 7 years minimum. मैं करता हूँ. India's unicorns, last year we hit nearly $500 billion in 125 unicorns, and 2023 थोड़ा धीमे चल रहा है because of the global things, but we have nearly 140 unicorns, $1 billion plus market cap, or mostly these are unlisted, so the valuation, yeah. Third, jump onto the next bubble and jump off before the collapse. My question, this is not from the organizers, कर सकते हैं क्या? Only the liars can predict the markets. Degree of difficulty 8/10, likelihood 3/10, कभी कभी लग जाता है तुक्का. Time needed 1 to 5 years, अगर ठीक कर पाएं. But India का जो ये टाइम आ रहा है, इसको मत गवाएं. What I showed you, that market cap to GDP ratio, we are sitting there, 100 का 80 भी आ जाएगा, फिर भी 6 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी में यू आर 4.8 ट्रिलियन का मार्केट. और ये तो बढ़ना ही है. नॉमिनल ग्रोथ 10-11% की है, एंड हिडन इकोनॉमी भी इतनी जोरदार ग्रो हो रही है साथ में. Mostly the big companies cannot today. This morning we were discussing that only. Only it's the small trader now who's left. वो भी धीरे धीरे आ रहे हैं. शिकंजा कसता जा रहा है सबके ऊपर, एंड सब आ जाएंगे इसके अंदर. बिगेस्ट बुल मार्केट्स, टाइम की कमी है, आप बाद में ये देख लीजिए, बट हर at various times various asset classes have done very well. अब ये कैच करना बहुत मुश्किल है, ये बाद में पता लगता है भाई ये चल रहा था. A lot of people are leaving the room in protest. लास्ट 40 सालों से देखें तो गोल्ड, नैस्डैक, थाईलैंड, टेक्नोलॉजी, यूएस हाउसिंग, चाइना, बायोटेक, अभी जो चल रहा है डिसरप्टर्स. अभी ऐसा हो गया था 2019 में इंटरव्यू लेते थे लोगों की, सर व्हाट डू यू वांट टू डू, आई मीन स्टार्टअप वालों को पैसे हम डाल रहे हैं कि व्हाट इज आई वांट टू डिसरप्ट. बोला ठीक है भैया डिसरप्ट कर लोगे, बट तुम्हारा प्लान क्या है. बट बिकॉज डिसरप्ट वर्ड बोल दो, टाइगर ग्लोबल आएगा, बोलेगा कितना चाहिए, बोलो 5 मिलियन, नहीं 100 मिलियन रखो, चाहे अकल हो ना हो 100 मिलियन की. येस्टरडे वन कंपनी, आई विल नॉट टेक द नेम, सीरियल ऑफेंडर को 200 करोड़ से ज़्यादा दिए. अब वो पब्लिक कंपनी है, क्या हक मिलता है, वो शेयर होल्डर का पैसा है. 200 करोड़ से ज़्यादा, 248 और समथिंग 280 करोड़, और वो कहता है जी पता नहीं पैसे कहाँ गए, रिसर्च करिए. ऐसा भी हो रहा है. एंड दैट गाय विद अ स्ट्रेट फेस इज सेइंग हाँ बोर्ड ने कहा है टाइटन करो. आप 280 करोड़ ऐसे लगाते कहीं. वो भी समवन कमिंग, लड़के जो आया था आफ्टर डूइंग बर्बादी इन हिज फर्स्ट वेंचर, यू पुट 280 करोड़. तो ये डिसरप्टर जो चल रहा है ये भी बहुत भयंकर बबल है, बट जब तक चल रहा है चल रहा है. स्टॉक मार्केट क्रैशेस 29, 87, 99, 2000, .com. Anyone who was not born in 2000 here, students? All were born in 2000. तो ये हमने 2-4 तो देखे हैं. 2008 फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस, 2020 कोरोना वायरस क्राइसिस. ऐसे क्रैश भी आता है, बबल जाता है और फिर क्रैश आता है. वो देख पता नहीं होता है कि कहाँ से क्रैश आ रहा है, कहीं से आ जाता है. Number 4, sorry, short the market. So short selling, everyone understands short selling, yeah? So sell something today and hope to buy it at a lower price some other time. Degree very difficult to do, 7/10. Like governments also don't like it. तो आपकी पोजीशन चाहे ठीक भी हो, कभी कभी गवर्नमेंट्स आके बंद कर देती हैं. और सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान नहीं, कोरिया में बंद कर देते हैं, इटली में बंद कर देते हैं. तो आप थियोरेटिकली राइट थे, बट यू आर नॉट एबल टू बुक द प्रॉफिट. बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जाम्पल दूंगा, जागते रहो. likelihood of success 4/10, time needed to amass a fortune, short है 6 months to 3 साल में अगर चल गया तो चल सकता है. Next, it is not happening, but if you see 3.5% of the market cap used to be shorted normally, अब वो 1.5 पे रह गई है, क्योंकि बेयर्स जो हैं, जो शॉर्ट सेलर्स हैं, उनका कॉन्फिडेंस हिल गया है. मार्केट इतना बढ़े हैं, इतना ज़बरदस्त बढ़े हैं. तो दिस इज़ अ कॉन्ट्रेरियन इंडिकेटर. जब शॉर्ट्स नहीं होते ना तो फिर ठीक है, वो फ्रॉथ नहीं है, ये कहीं तो गिरेगा. यू कैन मेक दैट, यू नो दैट बाय एक्सपीरियंस. नेक्स्ट, हिंडनबर्ग, एवरीबडी हैज हर्ड ऑफ हिंडनबर्ग. लेना ना देना, अमेरिका में बैठ के लिख दिया. नेट एंडरसन है उनका वो. तो अडानी, जैक डॉर्सी ऑफ ट्विटर, उसकी एक कंपनी है ब्लॉक, उसके अगेंस्ट लिखा. एंड कार्ल आइकैन करके एक एक्टिविस्ट इन्वेस्टर है, उसके बारे में लिखा. ही मेड दीज 3 gentlemen lose $99 billion ऑफ वेल्थ, 173 बिलियन मार्केट कैप निकल गया. इसका कुछ फ्यू मिलियन भी नहीं बना. ये ब्लूमबर्ग का आर्टिकल है 2 दिन पहले. शॉर्ट सेलर makes tiny gains of 173 billion carnage. तो शॉर्ट सेलर के बनते नहीं है नॉर्मली, और इसकी जान को खतरा है, कहीं घूमा छुप के बैठा रहता है. गवर्नमेंट्स भी इसको अरेस्ट कर लेती हैं जहां भी जाता है, क्योंकि इतना मार्केट डिसरप्ट कर दिया ना. तो शॉर्ट सेलर होना मुश्किल है, वो आई एम सॉरी यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू. नेक्स्ट, नंबर 5, टाइम द मार्केट, गेट द ट्रेंड राइट and then keep repeating. Degree of difficulty 6/10 कर सकते हैं. CMT वगैरह अच्छे टेक्नीशियन बन के यू कैन डू, टीवी पे तो रोज लोग बताते हैं आपको. लाइक्लीहुड ऑफ सक्सेस 5/10. आई एम बीइंग जेनरस, नॉर्मली 3/10 ही होता है. टाइम नीडेड टू amass अ फॉर्च्यून मेनी ईयर्स. ट्रेडर्स आप रिच नहीं देखेंगे, इन्वेस्टर्स यू विल फाइंड रिच. वो मैं बताऊंगा. 9 and 10 गिव्स यू दैट सफलता की कुंजी. नेक्स्ट. तो ये जैसन स्वाइग है, वॉल स्ट्रीट जर्नल के राइटर. ही सेज आई पुट 2 children थ्रू हार्वर्ड बाय ट्रेडिंग ऑप्शंस. तो बड़े खुश हो गए जी, ये ट्रेडिंग करके किसी ने तो बच्चों को हार्वर्ड में डाला. देन ही सेज अनफॉर्चुनेटली दे वर माय ब्रोकर्स चिल्ड्रन. कमीशंस दे दे के ब्रोकर के तो पैसे बनते हैं, आप कमाई ना कमाए. वो जीरोदा आ गया, उसने डिसरप्ट कर दिया वो भी, बट उसके भी कितना बिलियन वो बना रहा है. अभी म्यूचुअल फंड भी खोल रहे हैं. तो ब्रोकर के बहुत ज़बरदस्त पैसे बनेंगे, आपके बने ना बने. नॉर्मली सेबी की भी रिपोर्ट है, आप सब ब्रोकर डालते हैं. व्हेन यू गो इनटू योर ब्रोकर स्क्रीन यू हैव टू से यस आई हैव अंडरस्टूड कि 90% ऑफ पीपल लूज मनी इन ट्रेडिंग. एंड जो बनाते भी हैं उसका 50-60% वो ब्रोकरेज में दे देते हैं. तो क्यों करना है भैया? सॉरी, हाँ, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी. मिसेस एक्स एंड मिस्टर एक्स, ये 1960s में कॉफी कैन इन्वेस्टर हैं, रॉब किर्बी. एक महिला इनकी इन्वेस्टर थी. ही यूज्ड टू टेल हर and tell her when to buy, when to sell. She would do that. Her husband was a famous lawyer, so he used to manage his wife's account. वो देखते थे चलो फ्री राइड ले लेते हैं. जो भी कर्बी बोलते थे $5,000 he would put in that stock and never sell. He would not follow Kirby's instruction on selling, just buy. तो हस्बैंड गुजर गए, महिला ने सेफ खोला तो देखा इतने सारे स्टॉक्स पड़े हैं. डीमैट नहीं था उस टाइम, फिजिकल शेयर्स थे. 60s है यूएस. सो कर्बी को भेजा. कर्बी ने बोला ठीक है दे दीजिए, वीकेंड को देखता हूँ. देन ही सॉ इट, ही से ये तो मेरे ही शेयर हैं सारे, वॉट एवर आई यूज्ड टू गिव. चलो ठीक है. व्हेन ही एनालाइज्ड इट, काफ़ी 5,000 के 2,000 रह गए थे, कुछ जीरो हो गए थे. सम वर वर्थ 100,000, 20 गुना जो हो गए थे. और एक स्टॉक ऐसा था जो $5,000 160 टाइम्स हो गया था, $800,000. एंड दैट कंपनी वॉज हेलॉइड विच बिकेम Xerox. What we had Modi Xerox here as a partnership, Xerox photocopying company, and that $800,000 in the husband's portfolio was larger than the wife's entire portfolio. तो कॉफ़ी कैन पोर्टफोलियो क्या है? जैसे दादियाँ तकियों के अंदर सोने की गिनियाँ होती थीं, ये सब लेके भूल जाओ, वो स्टॉक्स में भी चलता है. आई हैव लिव्ड दैट एंड दिस वाज प्रोफेशनल. cocaine and investing. Harvard study, what drug users, the high they get, and investor is getting whenever they make money, and then their judgment gets debilitated as a result. तो बहुत पैसे बन रहे हैं तो चुप हो जाओ, मंदिर में बैठ जाओ, थोड़ा ध्यान करो, because it's playing games with your mind. Very interesting study, still ongoing. आप करिए, ये छोड़ देते हैं आज के लिए. This is David Swenson, Yale endowment. He used to run $30 billion. He's saying just look at sensible long-term asset allocation, your own goals, what we spoke, instead of focusing on unproductive diversion of market timing. Market timing खतरे क्या कहते हैं, आपके घातक है, आपकी फाइनेंशियल हेल्थ के लिए घातक है, सावधान. नेक्स्ट. Number 6, provide a valuable service. Give a service like your tax consultants, you're filing tax returns. Provide a valuable service, scale it, monetize it. Degree है, लियाकत तो चाहिए, and then lot of other things. 8/10, likelihood of success is very high. लियाकत बनाएंगे तो जक मार के success आएगा. And time needed 7 to 12 years, even more. Next. इसमें वी हैव टू रिमेंबर सर्वाइवरशिप बायस. सो हमें एक फेसबुक याद है, वो 2-3 हज़ार जो और कंपनियां सोशल नेटवर्क बन के आई थी वो नहीं पता किसी को. सो वी थिंक इट्स वेरी इजी, बट वी फॉरगेट दिस इज द टिप ऑफ द आइसबर्ग. नीचे इतने फेलियर बैठे हुए हैं और ये सर्वाइवरशिप बायस होता है. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जाम्पल. नेक्स्ट, वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 में तो ब्रिटिश प्लेन्स जब आते थे वापस जर्मनी को बॉम्ब करके, दे सॉ यार ये तो विंग्स पे है, टेल पे, अच्छा यहाँ पे ज़्यादा गोलियां लगती हैं, लेट्स पुट आर्मर प्लेट्स हेयर. उन्होंने डाले उधर आर्मर प्लेट्स फिर से, बट उनका जहाज गिरना का रेट वही रहा. देन वन इंजीनियर थॉट, ही सेज यार जब उसकी टेल पे या विंग पे लग रहा है, दैट गाय इज सर्वाइविंग एंड कमिंग बैक. So it is not so debilitating or it's not so potent a threat to the plane. Despite being hit on the wing or the tail, he's coming back. But ये cabin में तो कोई, I don't get anyone who gets a bullet in the cabin and who comes back. या fuselage में they started putting armor plates on those areas and their survival rates went up. ये होता है survivorship bias. So even when the data is given to you, we have to see is it anecdotal or is it a survivorship bias. Next, number 7, be a great salesman, financial influencer, marketing skills. ये आजकल बहुत चल रहा है, बहुत पैसे भी लोग लपेट रहे हैं with no degree of accountability. डिफ़िकल्टी ज़्यादा नहीं है, एक कैमरा चाहिए और अच्छा बोलने की तमीज़ चाहिए, लियाकत चाहिए थोड़ी बहुत. लाइकलीहुड ऑफ सक्सेस 7/10, 2 से 5 साल में अच्छे पैसे बन जाते हैं. आई विल गिव यू द बेस्ट एग्जांपल्स इन द वर्ल्ड. कल ही रिपोर्ट निकल के आई है, इंस्टाग्राम टॉप 100 इन द वर्ल्ड. क्रिस्टियानो रोनाल्डो इज द टॉप वन. ही चार्जेस $3.5 million फॉर वन पोस्ट ऑन इंस्टाग्राम. और हमारे किंग भी हैं विराट कोहली, $1.38 million फॉर वन पोस्ट. नेमार है, मेसी है. नेक्स्ट, विराट कोहली 255 million फॉलोअर्स, तो 25 करोड़ इंडियंस ही होंगे ज़्यादातर. 25 करोड़ फॉलोअर्स हैं, $1.38 million फॉर वन पोस्ट. तो बन जाइए फाइनेंशियल इन्फ्लुएंसर, ये कर सकते हैं. लोगों को टैक्स प्लानिंग सिखाइए. प्रियंका चोपड़ा 88 million फॉलोअर्स, $500,000, $500,000. अच्छा है ना. आई हैव नॉट पुट एनी फाइनेंशियल इन्फ्लुएंसर्स बिकॉज आई डोंट लाइक देम, बट देयर आर लॉट्स इन इंडिया. Not necessary that they are very well qualified to talk about the subject, but still we have not brought in very strict compliance. बाहर तो क्या फाइन हो जाता है, फाइन करके फिर काफ़ी ये फाइनेंशियल इन्फ्लुएंसर्स को क्रिप्टो के लिए दे फाइंड देम, बट वो इतना बना रहे हैं, वो एक आध पोस्ट और कर देंगे, रात को बन जाता है वापस. सो दैट्स द नेक्स्ट. हाउ वी आर फूल्ड. दीज आर एक्चुअल covers story. Fortune में this gentleman is been sent to jail yesterday. पहले बाहर बैठे हुए थे. You know him? Bankman, Fried. Then this lady is in jail for about 9 to 10 years. Theranos, read up. They said this is the next Steve Jobs. बोले कि हम इतना सा खून लेके we can do. आपका माइक तोड़ दिया मैंने. ये बॉक्सर होने का यही नतीजा है. So they said Steve Jobs, and then they realized ये ज़्यादातर करते ही नहीं थे. They used to give any results. See how you are playing. या Siemens का machines खरीद के उसमें डाल रहे थे. Entire fraud. She wiped out all her and big guys had invested with her. ऐसे ही है ये सब. Next. So how we are fooled, we should be aware. Index. Now the last 3 where you can actually make money. Index. Buy and hold the entire market. हम कहते हैं pulling out an apple is like a needle in the haystack. हम बोलते हैं haystack ही खरीद लो ना, कुछ तो निकलेगा. Degree of difficulty 4 because खरीदना बहुत आसान है. Staying the course is difficult. That's why I'm saying degree, but बहुत आसान है. Likelihood 10 by 10 I'm giving you. Guarantee ले लो. I don't give any guarantees. Index करोगे बनेगा. 7900, 2006, 10,000 बना. इंडिया में बना. वो जापान मैंने इसलिए दिखाया था 1950 में लॉग स्केल का चार्ट हमने बनाया. तो अगर 100 पे था जापान 1950 में, 1989 में 40,000 पहुंच गया था. 400 टाइम्स रिटर्न दे गया. 400 टाइम्स, नॉट परसेंटेज. 400 टाइम्स ऐसा भी आता है चांस. तो वो छोड़ना नहीं है. मुझे लगता है इंडिया का चांस आ रहा है, छोड़ना मत. मैं कोई म्यूचुअल फंड नहीं चलाता हूँ, ना मैं आपसे फीस लेने वाला हूँ. एक शॉल दे दिया आपने, बहुत खुश हूँ उससे, और इतना प्यार दिया आप सब ने. मेरा इसमें कोई वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, डिस्पाइट व्हाट आई हैड सेड इन द बिगनिंग. जरूर करिए. टाइम नीडेड, 20-25 साल लगेंगे, बट तोड़ के पैसे बनेंगे. ग्रैंड चिल्ड्रन के लिए छोड़ के जाइए, चैरिटी के लिए छोड़ के जाइए. इंडिया के मार्केट्स ने क्या किया लास्ट 1 ईयर, 3 ईयर, 5 ईयर्स, 10 ईयर्स? 10 साल में आपको 16% लार्ज कैप CAGR एवरी ईयर, 21% मिड कैप, 27% स्मॉल कैप. और ये मैंने नीचे बताया कि 100 बैगर कितना हो जाता है. अगर आप 27% 10 साल कर लेंगे, नियरली, अगर वो आप 20 साल के लिए रखेंगे तो 100 बैगर हो जाता है. वही मैं सोचा यार, 93 में हम फंड बेच रहे थे. समीर अरोड़ा तो पूरी जिंदगी करके रीबॉन्ड होके फिर से नया म्यूचुअल फंड लेके आ गया. मैंने समीर अरोड़ा को 93 में बेचा है. क्यों नहीं खरीदा था? वो खरीदा जरूर, बेच दिया हर बारी. जो छुट्टी पे चलते हैं, चलो बाइक खरीदनी है, चलो गाड़ी खरीदनी है, घर खरीदना है. वो बच गया बेचारा. ये ऑरेकल बच गया तो वो बना गया पैसे, बाकी सब बेच दिए. तो ये इस तरह के रिटर्न आए हैं लास्ट 10 साल, 1 साल, 3 साल. आप देखिए 3 साल में मिड कैप, स्मॉल कैप 62. अब इसमें मैं क्यों हर बारी, हर जगह आप देखेंगे मैं बोलता हूँ म्यूचुअल फंड के थ्रू जाइए, क्योंकि वो 60 to 100 स्टॉक्स खरीद के देगा आपको. आप खुद जाओगे, वो ऑपरेटर चला रहा होगा, आपको ऊपर घुमा के, आपको ऊपर भेज के, नीचे से वो निकल जाएगा. ये बहुत है इसमें, क्योंकि छोटे हैं ना स्टॉक्स, तो यू कैन ऑपरेट ऑन इट एंड नो रेगुलेटर कैन कैच दिस. इट्स इम्पॉसिबल. इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग तो आप कभी प्रूव कर ही नहीं सकते. इसलिए नाउ सेबी वाज टॉकिंग के द ओनस इज ऑन यू. आप बताओ कि आपने नहीं किया. लॉ ये कहता है कि यू आर प्रिज्यूम्ड इनोसेंट. सेबी कह रहा है नहीं, आप इनसाइडर ट्रेडर हो, आप बताओ कि कैसे आपने नहीं किया. क्योंकि वो प्रूव दुनिया भर में नहीं होता, बहुत मुश्किल है. तो इसलिए ये पैसा बनेगा स्मॉल कैप, माइक्रो कैप में. खुद मत करिए. नेवर एज्यूम दैट द पर्सन इन द मिरर हैज दैट स्किल सेट. नेक्स्ट, ट्रू स्टोरी. वॉरेन बफेट ने बेट लगाई. In 2008, he bet Protege Partners. They are a fund of funds. They choose hedge funds to invest in. He says, I'm betting you 10 years, let's take. You choose your top 5 funds, whichever. And the index will beat that fund. You know, the index, not only it beat them, 4 times it outperformed. Index gave 125%, and those 4 hedge funds together gave 36%. Now these were long shots. They could easily short when the market fell. Unlike index को तो invested रहना है. Still 4 times index. Next. Yeah, 2013 Buffett said this. Goal of the non-professional. We are all non-professional. We are not professional pickers. We are professionals in other things, but not stock picking. Should not be to pick winners. Neither you nor your helpers can pick winners. You should rather own a cross-section of businesses that in aggregate will do well. A low-cost index fund will achieve this goal. So the most legendary investor in the world, who is the best stock picker, वो भी यही कह रहा है. For all the rest of us, index fund is better. Next. And this the same David Swenson that I mentioned, Yale University. He says, when you look at the results on after fees, after tax, over reasonably long periods of time, there is almost no chance that you end up beating an index fund. India may we still have lot of good active fund managers who are beating, but that is also getting very small. In my time in the 90s, everyone used to beat the index. Now it is like 50%, it will go down to 20%. I mean, you don't know which 20%. Number 9, SIP, you all know that, dollar cost average, degree of difficulty very little. Why I put 2? Because you will not stay the course. I have not stayed the course. If I had done that in 93 in my funds, you wouldn't have got me for this conference at all. I would have sent you postcards from Bahamas or something. Likelihood of success 10 by 10. Again guarantee. Time needed 20 years plus. Let's see next. I'm not recommending any of these mutual funds. I'm not certified. I have vested interest. Don't go out and buy based on this. I'm just telling you, funds started in 93, 95 have gone up 240 times in India. ये वाले मत खरीदना भैया, ये फंड मैनेजर बदल चुके हैं, कुछ ऊपर भी जा चुके हैं. I'm just telling you this is possible. This is possible. 3 of them are from my company. Franklin India Prima, Franklin India FlexiCap used to be Prima Plus, India Tax Shield, सब बेचे हैं मैंने. खुद भी किया, स्टार्ट किया, जब भी गिरता था मार्केट, अभी SIP बंद करो. खत्म हो गई कहानी. 200 गुना 100 times funds have given. इसमें Franklin Blue Chip नहीं है. That we had given a bonus, so it's not showing. Franklin Blue Chip is also 180 times. This was the first private sector mutual fund that we had launched in India, Kothari Pioneer. Next. True story. United Parcel Service, Theodore Johnson, joined in 24, did an SIP on his company's stock. I never recommend that. I'm saying diversify mutual fund. Just on his company stock. What was his mantra? 20% of all my inflows, bonus ho, Christmas bonus ho, salary raise ho, salary ho, 20% kept putting. By the time he died at 90, he had $70 million in UPS stock. Possible. Next. Final one. I know all of you are tired of me now. So last one. Compound forever. Make time your friend. See, time is your enemy in inflation. So what was worth 100 rupees 20 years back is worth so much less with inflation eating it up. If you compound your returns, you're making time your money, time your friend. Very simple, we don't do it. Likelihood of success 10 by 10, 20 years time frame. बहुत अच्छा बनेगा. Next. So small incremental changes. 1.01 bhi kar lo roz and you compound it 37 times, you will be end of the year. Mathematical proof. Next. Grace of Chicago and Richard. So Grace Granner, born in 1909 in Chicago, she was a secretary all her life. She would just go and buy stocks and hold forever. When she died, she left $7 million to the city of Chicago. Same day that Grace died, Richard, who was vice chairman of a very famous investment bank, I have not put the full name, University of Chicago, Harvard MBA, declared bankruptcy. This is after this, all this, I can't even pay my mortgage. Small increments fill up the bucket very well. Warren Buffett, wealth has come from combination of living in America, lucky genes and compound interest. Next. Simplicity always wins. Jeff Bezos asked Warren Buffett on a CNBC show, Warren, your investment thesis is so simple. You are one of the richest guys in the world and it's so simple what you say. Why doesn't everyone just copy you? Well, normally he chuckles and he says, because nobody wants to get rich slowly. Everyone wants to get rich fast, immediately. Poll. Next poll, Sham. from today, what is the expectation from BSE Sensex just after 2024 general election? Very difficult. Correction of 5,000 points or more, jump of 5,000, correction of 10,000, jump of 10,000. इसमें नोटा भी लगा दो. Can't see. Next one, Sham, let's finish the questions. Question we can have. This is interesting. When will BSE Sensex reach 100,000? So 65,000 roughly right now. Between 65 and 66, it's making up its mind for the last 2 weeks. So when will it reach 100,000? और किसी ने नेवर भी लिखा है, ऐसे मत करो यार, तो पेट पे लात मारे. नेवर तो नहीं हो सकता. Next question. How many hours do you devote to capital markets in a week? Make sure your boss is not next to you when you're filling this. Never. Up to 7 hours, 14 hours, 20 hours, more than 20 hours. हमारा तो एक दिन में हो जाता है 20 hours. सोते भी सपने वही आ रहे होते हैं. Is that all, Shyam? Yeah? Okay. So we'll be compiling and showing you these answers. Let's finish the presentation fast. All our chairmen, sirs are here, so I don't want to eat into their time. This time's letter of Berkshire, Warren Buffett, do read it. Very, very small letter. He's now 93. Pata nahi kab bulawa aa jaye. He's writing very less. He used to write big letters. This was one of the shortest letters. And he gave his entire career span. So he says, 58 years that I've run Berkshire. My performance is so-so. This is the best investor in the world. I'll show you his results. And about 12 good decisions I made in 58 years. That means 5 years mein ek decision. I remember when I was in Citibank, John Reed was visiting, and I'd asked him, John, how is your performance appraisal done? So mera boss to bola, ye to gaya, aur mere bhi naukri le gaya. He says, once in 3 years I think of an idea. See, this is the guy in 60s he did all the offshoring of operations. In the 60s he invented the ATM. 1960s mein. Legendary banker, he was pushed out by made a foolish merger. That's another story. So about 5 years mein ek decision theek hua, bol raha hai. Next. He gave 2 examples. Coca-Cola, he bought $1.3 billion worth in 94. Now he makes 700 million dividend on it. Amex, 1.3 billion, 300 million dividend. Both of them are 20 billion plus. So 20 guna ho bhi gaye, and dividend of nearly 50 to 30% of the original cost. छोड़ देते हैं इसको. हाँ, ये आप बाद में देख लीजिए. Very self-explanatory है. We can go ahead. Yeah. Prashant Jain just retired from HDFC Mutual Fund, started his own fund. Over 20 years, he made 87,000 crores of profits for investors across 465 investments. Usme se 55 gave most of the returns. So 12% gave 85% of the gains. So Pareto principle we say 80-20 rule. इसमें 90-10 है finance में. But वो 10 कौन सा है वो ढूंढना मुश्किल है, इसलिए we say on the index itself. Next. ये छोड़ देते हैं, अभी time नहीं है. The best thing was, I actually calculated based on the previous table. You can do that. आज flight में बैठे बैठे I was calculating. He says 1/4 were losers. So 25% of the time he was making losses. 1/100 were big losers. There is one company where he has lost 1,000 crores also. 1,000 to 2,000 के interval में है. तो 1,000, I'm saying, being charitable to him. 1 to 20 were big winners and rest were winners. But those 5 which were the big winners out of every 100, each of them was bigger than all his combined losses. So let the winner run and cut the loss short. वो नहीं हो पाता है. We want कि अच्छा वो 5 रुपए बन गए ये ले लो, वो 10 रुपए गए ये आएगा वापस आएगा, 100 रुपए हो गया नीचे कोई नहीं 200 रुपए, अभी एवरेज करते हैं एवरेज करते हैं एवरेज करते हैं, वो it becomes a forever holding. Then we kick the bucket, वो बच्चे देखते हैं क्या शेयर थे, नाम भी नहीं है शेयर के अब. Reverse, if we do the reverse, we are successful. Global outlook, just 3 slides, we have to watch out for these 3 things, yes. I'll finish with that. Fed is the main culprit. I still think we have not made the bottom in the US market. जो जैन्स का नंबर था उसके बहुत करीब गया बट लौट आया और अभी 2 हफ्ते से नीचे आ रहा है. एक घुमाएगा मार्केट, एटलीस्ट वंस इट विल टेक यू डाउन एंड देन इट विल गो अप. 2024 is better. Ours also, the election overhang will be gone. But next 3-4 months, 5 months might be sideways to tough. Yeah. US rating, yes. China is a problem. China has lots of problems. In fact, Biden yesterday said also China is a ticking time bomb, and then White House was trying to explain it away. China is a problem geopolitically, economically. Growth in China is slowing down and they are over indebted. They have taken on too much debt. That is going to have a problem. So we have to watch out. Yes. That's about it. But India's future is bright. So please be investors and participate in that. Whatever gives you good sleep at night. Sectors that I like, I think banking you have to keep. Basically 160 lakh crores is the Indian consumption right now. 160 lakh crores every year we as a nation consume. That will go to 3,20,000 crores in another 5 years, 6 years time. उसमें consumption के providers, consumption के funders, consumption infrastructure के creators, all will benefit. You know, today the retail space in India, 25% is already taken over by foreign retailers. Why are they coming here? We say we are such a poor nation, गरीबी फैल गई, ये हो गया. वो सारे के सारे आ रहे हैं. Everyone wants an entry into India because this is the market and it's a growing market. It will keep growing for the next 30-40 years because of one thing, the population, the young population. You know, the average age of Japanese today, 49 years. Last year, 18 lakh Japanese died, 8 lakh were born. Women don't want to have children and they don't allow migration. बहुत मुश्किल होने वाला है. चाइना का वैसे ही हो रहा है. India is one of, Africa is growing a lot. Africa will do very well over next 20 years if they sort out their politics and rule properly. But India has just Goldilocks time. वो ज़रूर सोच के रखिए. कुछ भी हो जाए, कोलिशन गवर्नमेंट आए, कुछ हो जाए, ये सब वो आएगा, टेम्पररी सेटबैक्स आएगा, बट वी विल कीप मूविंग अहेड. दैट इज बिकॉज वो मोमेंटम आ गया है. दैट शेयर स्केल इज देयर. कैन वी हैव द आंसर्स, श्याम? संजय जी आप लेंगे आंसर्स? हाँ. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच.
The answers to the polls. So majority of us think that capital market is a true barometer of economic development. सर आप लोग दोनों का भी व्यू चाहूँगा, आपका मित्तल जी का. आप लोग इससे एग्री करते हैं या आपका कुछ और, आपकी कुछ और राय है? एग्री करते हैं, ठीक है. सो
So for short periods of time there is no connection at times, but ultimately fundamental. So voting machine and weighing machine, just remember that. Short term voting machine, always a weighing machine. Fundamentals, ROE, जिसका ROE अच्छा है वो अच्छा करेगा.
next, which sector can outperform the index in the next 1 year? You also mentioned banking, sir.
और इसमें बैंकिंग ही नंबर 1 पर आ रहा है.
थैंक यू.
कंजम्पशन इसमें है नहीं, यू मेंशन कंजम्पशन, बट वो इसमें है नहीं एज एन ऑप्शन. बट नेक्स्ट इज आईटी एंड देन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एक्सेट्रा. मित्तल जी, आप यू वोट फॉर आईटी. ठीक ठीक, सेकंड वही है सर. नेक्स्ट बीएससी सेंसेक्स. मैक्सिमम पीपल थिंक अभी से 5000 पॉइंट जंप करेगा, मीन्स समथिंग बिटवीन 70 to 71,000. दैट इज अ मैक्सिमम परसेप्शन. अभी 65-66 है, 5000 जंप मतलब 70-71 की एक्सपेक्टेशन है आफ्टर 24 वोट्स. नेक्स्ट 1 लाख. नेवर वाले कितने हैं? 5 वोट. बाकी मैक्सिमम सर 2026 to 29 में है, और बाकी नहीं. हाँ, 26 to 29 ही मैक्सिमम है, राइट. इज दैट अ गुड रिजल्ट सर?
Very nice.
नेक्स्ट.
And that is true, Sanjay ji. What happens? Market discounts. It's a forward discounting mechanism. So market पहले ही discount कर देता है कि जो 2019-29 में होना है वो 26 में करके बैठ जाएगा. आपको अगले 3 साल की रिटर्न दे जाएगा.
और आपने पीछे का भी सर जो इंडेक्स का रिटर्न्स बताया, उस हिसाब से अगर 14%, 13-14% का रिटर्न लेते हैं तो 3 साल 4 साल में हो जाना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट. हाउ मेनी आवर्स डू यू डिवोट टू कैपिटल मार्केट्स इन अ वीक? मैक्सिमम लोग तो नहीं करते हैं सर यहाँ, अप टू 7 आवर्स, और मोर देन 20 आवर्स वाले कम हैं, नेवर वाले भी कम हैं, बट अप टू 7 आवर्स इज द मैक्सिमम.
You have to see correlation of who was sitting with colleagues and bosses.
Most of them are sitting with colleagues, sir. Most of them are sitting with colleagues. Not many are sitting with bosses. Not many are sitting with bosses. So that's the that was the last one, Shyam. Yeah. So that's the conclusion of the polls. After this, our chairman will give his concluding remarks.
So thank you, Ajay ji. It was very enriching and knowledge building exercise, and this poll is really very good idea because it engages through all. India is a democracy, so we participated in this in a very democratic fashion, and we had a poll. And thank you for such a very nice coverage from his presentation. I have seen my life that what yielded to me my biggest investment of my father was that he invested in my course of CA, Chartered Accountancy. That was the biggest wealth creator. And for me, my biggest wealth creator of my investment in my company, Sassa Sundar. So I fully agree, and he presented that option that investing in yourself and investment in your children's dreams or investing in upgradation of your own business and practice, no share can compare for whatever performance is coming. So that is true. So 90% of my money, either I invest in myself or I invest in ventures of my children. Because if the India is good, you give first opportunity to you. And even if your children's investment goes west and right off, that will be a tuition fees. That is not a permanent bed debts. So thank you so much for such an enlightening this presentation. And this covered this option. Very few presentation will cover this kind of option, investing in yourself or investing in children. This shows his foresightness. And I also remember I was sitting with Mr. Radhakrishnan Damani in 2002. He was having a chance that Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, his friend, is ahead of him. But his own investment in DMart made him the winner out of his own circle in Mumbai. So that is the power of compounding. The Warren Buffett we all talk. The Warren Buffett is built because he does not invest in 1% or 2%. He goes and take 10%, 20%, 40% majority. So even if if you get a chance to invest in multi-bagger, it makes an amount that how much money, how much percentage of your wealth you actually invested. So that change your balance sheet. So that again a very good point out of his presentation. And I was talking to Agor Dudiwala for future course of action that we had a very good capital market segment on Calcutta entrepreneur where Mr. R.S. Agarwal came here. So next seminar we should plan that the Calcutta companies are making very good wealth. We have a Manyavar, we have Titagad, we have Sham Metallics. So why don't we call those entrepreneurs and Bagaji also? Let us have an interact from an investor perspective and founder perspective. So at least from Calcutta we can find out who are the next big wealth creators. Let us share. Dudewala, you remember we had that kind of very good seminar. So in next seminar we can have a interactive session with those kind of wealth creators and can locate the. So time is not so much. I will conclude and thank you Ajay ji for such a powerful and visionary presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. I now request CA Mahinder Agarwal, Joint Secretary DTPA, to offer a vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the entire executive committee, I would like to have my sincere thanks and heartful gratitude to each and every one of you for attending our second technical session on the capital market. It is truly that our honor and they stand today for their dedicated role in this role of the thanks. I would like to thank our session chairman, CA BL Mittal sir, for the founder of the Sasta Sundar, for his time and the support he has given to our organization. First and foremost, I would like to express our deepest appreciation to our esteemed guest speaker and capital market expert, Sri Ajay Bagga sir. You have enlightened our thought and provoking presentation, which has provided us with a comprehensive understanding on the subject of Indian capital market. Thank you, sir. Now, once again, thank you all of you for being part of this information and enlightening session. We hope that the knowledge gained here today will empower you and to make informed decisions and contribute towards the growth and development of the Indian economy. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hello. So now we have come to our final session, that is the panel discussion. I would like to welcome the speakers who have joined us virtually. Our panelists who have joined us virtually, CA AP Singh and CA Shailesh Haribhakti. CA AP Singh has joined us from America and CA Shailesh Haribhakti has joined us from Mumbai. I would now request, I would like to welcome the moderator and the panelists who are physically present here. May I now invite the moderator of the panel discussion, CA Debashish Mitra, immediate past president, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, to kindly come to the dais. I would like to invite our panelists for the afternoon, CA Nehar Jambusaria, past president ICAI, and CA PR Ramesh, former chairman Deloitte India, to the dais. I request CA NK Goyal and CA Vikash Parak, co-chairman conference committee, to escort the moderator and the panelists to the dais. Before we start, I would like to introduce the dignitaries on the dais and those who have joined us virtually. CA Debashish Mitra is the immediate past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, 2022-23. Dr. Mitra, a senior practicing member, is also a cost accounting company secretary. With keen interest in academic research, he is a PhD on the topic of critical study of Select India, GAAP, US GAAP, IES, IFRS. Dr. Mitra is a member of the Board of Chartered Accountants Worldwide and the South Asian Federation of Accountants. He is also a board member of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, Insurance Advisory Committee, and members of SEBI's Primary Market Advisory Committee. I request CA Kashi Prasad Khandelwal, past president DTPA, to come forward and present a shawl to Dr. Debashish Mitra. I request CA Ajit Tulsian, executive committee member, to present him with a memento. CA Nehar Jambusaria qualified as a chartered accountant in 1984 and practiced for 27 years before he joined Reliance as Senior Vice President in 2011 and served till April 2020. Now he's back in practice and provides consultancy to organizations both in the private and the public sector. He was the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for 21-22 and is now President South Asia Federation of Accountants, SAFA, for 2023. He has served both as chairman and member of many professional bodies and is a regular speaker in many national and international conferences. I request C. Ashish Rastogi, Executive Committee member, to present a shawl to CA Nehar Jambusaria. I request C. Arup Das Gupta, our Executive Committee member, to present a memento to CA Nehar Jambusaria. CAPR Ramesh was the chairman of Deloitte India and has over 40 years of experience in the profession. He also served as a member of Deloitte Global Board and Deloitte Asia Pacific Board and has been associated with various committees of regulatory bodies with SEBI, Reserve Bank of India, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Institute of Company Secretaries of India. He was also a special invitee to the National Advisory Committee on Accounting Standards. He has co-authored publication by CCH titled IGAP, Financial Reporting Standards in India, including a comparison with International Financial Reporting Standards. CA Ramesh is currently the chairman of the Insolvency Research Foundation and on the executive committee of the Indian Accounting Association for Education and Research. I request CA Bharat Saraugi, executive committee member, to come forward and present a shawl to CA PR Ramesh. I request CA Nilima Joshi ma'am, past president DTPA, to come forward and present a memento to CA PR Ramesh. We have two panelists who have joined us virtually. CA AP Singh has joined us virtually from America. He is in practice since 1984, based out of Kolkata, and has engaged in primarily with advising and representing professional accountants in regulatory, legal and disciplinary matters. His clients include firms of professional accountants, including those who are members of the member firms of the world's richest accounting networks. He has been called upon to provide comments on the high-power group established by the Government of India for regulation of professional chartered accountants, company secretaries and cost accountants. He is currently serving as the International Second Vice President of Lions Club International. We welcome you, sir, CAAP Singh. CA Sailesh Vishnubai Haribhakti has joined us virtually from Mumbai. He is a chartered accountant and a cost accountant. He is the chairman of the Sailesh Haribhakti and Associates. He is certified internal auditor, certified financial planner, fraud examiner, and also a board chairman of audit committee, chairperson and independent director in many organizations. He has been conferred with the Global Competent Boards designation by Competent Boards INC. He has been awarded the Vivekananda Sustainability Award 2022 by Vivekananda Youth Connect Foundation, presented with Honorary Doctor of Letters by ITM University. We welcome you, sir. The topic for today's panel discussion is bridging expectation gaps, do's and don'ts for professionals. We are also conducting a poll during the panel discussion. I now hand over the proceedings to CA N.K. Goel, Co-Chairman Conference Committee, to introduce the panel discussion.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Introducing to the subject of this panel discussion will take me pretty long, but we have expert panel, and rather we should be hearing from them about the panel discussion. What I can give you that what led to the conceptualization of this panel discussion, to really tell you the pain and agony which we all experience when we hear that auditing profession mein ab kuch nahi rakha hai, it's a risk venture. So suddenly from partners in nation building, we become destructors. The comments keep coming from regulators, from the press, and maybe from the Red Fort also. So is it a reality? What we can do so that these comments do not come? or we can tell that we are really partners in nation building, not the destructors. So I'll not take much time. I pass on the proceedings to my colleague Vikash Parekh, who will add a few sentences to this, and then straight over to the panel. Thank you. Keep enjoying. Thank you.
Well, Goyalji has very aptly introduced the panel discussion. I would just like to add that we will be having a poll as we did earlier, and you will be please, we request all of you and also all the delegates who are not here also, they are on the group, they will also be giving their views on some of the pertinent issues which might be taken up during the poll. And now I hand over the proceeding to the moderator of the session today, our very own CA Dr. Debashish Mitra. Please give a big round of applause and let's start the panel discussion.
CA Narendra Goyalji, Vikash, my boss, he is my boss because I was the vice president when he was the president, Neha Jambusaria, PR Ramesh, Mr. AP Singh, whom we have seen in all the disciplinary committees, right, and Shailesh Haribhaktiya. So you see Kashi Khandelwal, you see, who has been a council member of the institute, and President Mr. Agarwal, and everybody else who are present. A very, very good evening to all of you. When we were sitting today having lunch, everybody said that, you see, you must make it very spicy. Right, so you see, that's what we are trying to do, take up a lot of controversial issues. Maybe sometimes talking about NAFRA, sometimes talking about the role of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, how potent it is, or whether, you see, how strong it is at the present moment. Mr. Goyal was saying that he's a bit perturbed with all the kind of newspaper reports that he reads about the profession. We'll try to see what to do. One of the, you see, first questions that we'll take up is, auditors, whether it's a watchdog or a bloodhound. That is the basic, crux today, even the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. We are, you see, always ask this question. And we try to avoid, but how much somebody says that you have become a lap dog in the process. You have become a Pomeranian dog, right? Somebody says that, no, you have to be a barking dog. You see, so, so many types of species are being talked about as long as the chartered accountants are concerned. But first of all, let me just tell you the way we shall go for it. 5 minutes each. There have been questions specified. Mr. Singh, we are giving you, there is a small change. Numbers, instead of number 10, instead of serial number 10, we are giving you serial number 6. That is relating to the fake GST invoice and the disciplinary process. So a perception gap, we are giving it to Mr. Ramesh. So this is just one small change that you must note. You are used to all this, we have seen it, so you should not be surprised at all. Right, so you see, that's the small change that I am doing. 5 minutes to all the panelists. I will give the questions, and then after that, after the 30 minutes, we'll make things more controversial. I will hear them out, and then you see, maybe talk about how NAFRA is doing, or how the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is doing, what is happening. So you see, we'll make things more controversial. In between, what we'll do is this, we'll have a poll. And then I will see the people who are sleeping off. I will ask them questions at some point of time. You see, whether you have, heard them properly or not. So that is what we are going to do. And then maybe have a concluding remark. So those of us who are, you see, on the video, please note that the way I will go is, first of all, Neha Jambusaria, then PR Ramesh, then AP Singh, and then Mr. Shailesh Haribhakti. 5 minutes each, initial comments. I will give the questions, and then we, go ahead and see how it goes. The first one to Nihal Bhai. Auditors, whether they are watchdogs or whether they are bloodhound. Right? So you see, what is happening to the auditing profession? Some people are saying that it's too risky to be in audit. Penalties this side, penalties that side. You see, your name and shame. People are writing your name in the papers. saying that, see, you are now being barred for 5 years, 6 years, penalty of 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. Somebody is barred for whole year, whole lifetime. Now the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, we are under pressure now. They're saying, the ministry is saying, you all guys do so many cases, much more than NAFRA, but we don't hear about the kind of cases. Why don't you name and shame? Right? And over the period of time, we have been a bit reticent on that. But has the time come? And are we going to be fraud catchers? At the end of the day, you see, are we required to go, you see, Mr. Ramesh was saying that you have to go by the society's expectations. So is the society's expectation that a chartered accountant and auditor has to be a fraud catcher? Basically, he has to be a fraud catcher. Is the society's expectation is, we are not interested in your reasonable assurance. We are not interested in your true and fair. Who bothers whether you give it true and fair or not? We are interested how many frauds did you catch? Is that the expectation of the society from the profession? These are the areas which my boss, past president of the institute, Nihar Jambusaria, will cover. So Nihar bhai, it's all over to you. Please.
Thank you. And I think this is working well.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Let me at the outset say thank you to the Direct Taxes Professionals Association and compliment them for picking up a topic which is so relevant today, and particularly at a time when the fresh chartered accountants, the newly qualified, although during their articleship they are trained in audit field, still they are averse to take up audit as an area of practice. And as rightly put by Debashish, that the fear of risk overtakes the mind of young chartered accountants who enter the profession. And the fear comes out of what, and I think let me give some background of the audit field. Right from 1949, when the institute was started, I think basically it was started for the purpose of attest function. And it is this attest function that brought so much of goodwill and name to chartered accountants in the past. And today we are at such time when this audit profession itself is subject to so much of risk that everybody putting signature on financial statements, on audit report, is worried and would apprehend whether anything wrong has gone into it, or anything wrong may not have gone into it, but because of expectations and perceptions, what kind of allegations may come up. So in this scenario, this question which the immediate past president put, whether auditor is still a watchdog or is he a bloodhound, I would say that auditor is not certainly bloodhound, but at the same time his role as watchdog, which was accepted by courts in the past, has gone up. It has gone beyond watchdog. Look at the reporting requirements under CARO, the way they have expanded, and in the future they may expand further if you look at the expectations, and if institute and our profession after debate decides that we would do everything to try to bridge the gap, the expectation gap, and leave the gap at a level where it is impossible to bridge the gap. The reasonable assurance, very rightly put, people are interested in knowing whether the accounts are foolproof, whether there is no fraud, but they do not realize that audit, the financial audit, the statutory audit is really not investigation, and every fraud, every error cannot be detected. Let me put it in simple language. Now, with the manner in which we can surf through the data, the big data, the kind of AI that is available, the audit tools that are available, certainly we can go, and we are equipped to go beyond what we were doing in the past. And I recall the time when I was doing audit as article student in 1981-82 with a green tick. It has undergone tremendous change. Those ticks are not required at all. Today the computer would run the data for us and produce the results that we desire. If we are able to equip ourselves to use the data, to use the AI to our advantage. So let us strive, and for 2 to 3 years in the past, or rather 3 to 4 years in the past, at the Institute the efforts are being made to provide audit tools to members, either free of cost or at very effective cost, and every member will have to learn operating AI, using the data to our advantage when we carry out audit. So it has certainly gone beyond watchdog stage, and I may rather say that if one puts it in terms of what dog or what kind of dog, probably the auditor will have to use sniffing sense to the maximum. Wherever they apply smell test and find that there is something fishy, at least they can sound it to the audit committee that here further investigation is required, and the auditor cannot keep silence, putting either qualification, no qualification, and that's all. Perhaps we may have to go some steps further and meet expectations of society, stakeholders, government to the extent it is possible. In the course of discussion, of course, this will come up in greater detail, so I am putting it at this stage, my view that the watchdog, pure function as watchdog, has not remained. It has gone beyond that, and we have to use whatever equipments are available with us to provide the maximum value add to the audit that we are undertaking. That's all.
Thank you very much, Niyar Bhai. What he is saying is, he is saying that, look, you cannot just go and say that we are the watchdogs now. That is no longer, you see, it is a known thing that, that argument will no longer hold for us. If you say that, look, give us audit under the Companies Act, and we are going to be watchdogs, true and fair view, as time progresses, it is that view may not hold good. He's talking about technology, AI, etc. With technology coming, whether the test check, the idea, this, I'm just, Mr. Ramesh will say later on. I'll go to Mr. AP Singh. Mr. Singh, be ready. Now we are coming to you next. Whether, you see, with the technology coming, the whole concept of sampling and test check will go. Whether it will be 100% checking. And with 100% checking, and this again from Mr. Ramesh, so that he is mentally prepared, instead of true and fair, it will be true and correct. And all frauds have to be found out. Whether, you see, that kind of, whether we are going to live in that kind of a scenario. So you see, that is, what he's saying, technology is going to play a huge part. And let me tell you, the Institute is trying its best to grapple as to how this chat GPT, for example. Now they are saying that with the chat GPT, you can get an auditor's report out anytime. You don't require anybody to write an auditor's report. For example, the president was saying that even my speech can be written in chat GPT. We were in Africa. So you see, he wanted to write a speech for the African Congress. He wrote my speech for African Congress. And from the chat GPT, his speech came out. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? You see, this is the kind of technological changes, right? And by the way, those of us who are, I can see all of us awake. Somebody was showing me that, you see, somebody tried to find out what is the toughest examination in chat GPT, right? And the chat GPT said that the toughest examination is the chartered accountancy examination. So we should give all of us a pat in the back that we have become chartered accountants, right? He says it's still very tough, still very tough. I've sat in the examination committee for 4 years. Kashiji must have been there, Nihar Bhai has been there. You see, we know that kind of standard that you are this thing. But here, Mr. Singh, if I may have your attention, I know you are, it must be about 4 o'clock in the US now. What will be the time? At 5 o'clock in the morning?
It's right now it's 5:45 where I am, but that's very fine.
Full credit to you that you are still smiling.
Oh, absolutely,
You
sir.
see,
Thank
full credit to you. It's a love for DTPA. You see, showing and love for the profession. It is showing, right? Mr. Singh, I have seen you argue in the disciplinary committee. Very frequently, I will not name cases. Very frequently, you have taken this plea that this was never material. And if it is never material, an auditor is not supposed to see things which are not material. So the question is, to what extent materiality is very important for audit? That is the first one that I am asking you. The second one, a bit more, something which many of the delegates may not like. What do you think is the future of small company audit? Mind you, NAFRA has already given a concept paper that all small company audits should go. बोले उसमें कोई पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, उस सब में करके क्या होगा ऑडिट? किसको क्या हम लोग सीएलओ के लिए सब थोड़ा ये सेक्शन करके रखे हैं ताकि उन लोग का काम दिया जाए. So, two questions for you, Mr. Singh. Materiality, how important it is, and the future of small company audit. So, I know they are a bit unrelated to each other, but if you could just take them up, please. Thank you very much. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Devashish. Thank you very much. And thank you, my friends from DTPA, for accommodating me through this virtual mode. Technology makes it possible. Picking up from where you were already discussing and the various kinds of dogs and the fraud, and whether ultimately the role of the auditor will come into detecting frauds and just announcing, okay, these are the amount of frauds and this is the fraud that we've detected. But if you very sincerely look at all our technical literature is very clear that the overall objectives of the auditor are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are there. Material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. So the question of arriving at the conclusion in the auditor's report, whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, it already encompasses that those material misstatements may arise out of fraud or out of error. In this respect, I would request my friends to specifically refer to SA 320 and SA 450, where they will get a detailed insight of what the materiality is technically defined in the standards and how it has to be established. Your question to me is whether concept of materiality should be weighed by the regulatory authorities. It will always be weighed by the regulatory authorities. If it is not weighed by the regulatory authorities, it will become unfair. Most humbly stated, I have appeared before our two most honorable and illustrious past presidents who are part of this panel today. And we have always presented, and it is always appreciated, that's the way the professional matters proceed, that materiality has to be kept in mind. If the materiality is not viewed by the regulatory authorities, then for small trivial matters, you can charge individuals for gross negligence or for lack of due diligence. It has to be seen in the larger picture. But what is very important for the friends here, for my colleague professionals, is that when we talk of materiality, we cannot talk in general terms. We cannot just say that ये material है, ये material नहीं है. It's not like that. Today there is a standard on materiality. The issue, the main challenge is how many of our professionals are establishing materiality thresholds before starting the audit. SA 320 is very clear about establishing an overall materiality threshold and then a performance materiality. Now those are technicalities into which I will not go in this session for the paucity of time, and that's not the intent here. But then the fact remains that using the word materiality in a loose manner just to defend oneself is no good. I mean, today the standards govern the practice of a chartered accountant, especially when the chartered accountant is, as acting as an auditor, and there's a specific standard on materiality. So to say that materiality is not being looked at and yet not being able to provide defense that I relied on this threshold of materiality, which I established in this particular manner, And this was thus my performance materiality, and this materiality is within the standards prescribed for the professionals. It is only then that relief can be obtained from the regulatory authorities. We also have, as I said, most understated, two of our past presidents here and very illustrious members of the profession. What regulatory authorities really miss out and sometimes get carried away is that together with materiality, not materiality, they actually do not appreciate that a lot of matters are before them after something has been detected. Hindsight should never be used to evaluate the work of a professional accountant. It is not materiality alone. जब काम किया तब क्या circumstances था? आज के दिन क्या circumstance है? After 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years after something major has been detected is something totally different. That hindsight can never be used. Where the professionals really get hit is when the regulatory authorities use hindsight to evaluate the work of the professional accountants. As the past presidents, as the leaders of the profession, as DTPA and various other authorities, if you have to make your case, if you have to present certain arguments to the regulatory authorities, this is what you need to present, that please understand that hindsight should never be used. But at the same time, our own professional brothers and sisters must also be careful of ensuring that materiality is actually demonstrated for having been established and then having been followed at all times while performing the audit procedures in accordance with the standards, and the guidance there, or rather the direction there, comes from SA 320. The next question that you've asked me is about the audit of small companies. I have seen, and all of us have read, that consultation paper which has been published by NAFRA. Now, NAFRA in some of its landmark orders say that we should look at the Indian standards and the Indian issues only. Why are we trying to borrow from the international standards? There are Indian standards that govern us, we should not look there. But yet, for best practices across the world, in this consultation paper, it is looking to the US, it's looking to Singapore, it's looking to the UK and various other best practices that they're looking at. Yet my personal feeling is that it's too early. We have our own eco space. We have our own culture in the country. We have our own systems through which the corporate sector is progressing. And we are managing pretty well. I don't see a total phase out or a total sunset on small companies audit very soon, although I do see the consultation paper there from NAFRA. But it is something which is beginning to appear on the cards. But at the same time, for the professionals, this is not any danger signal. Do not understand that a large part of your profession would be carved out or taken away. No, it doesn't happen, because the profession is really growing. And today, when we are talking of frauds and all these issues which are being spoken about in this seminar as well, please understand that our institute is a global trend setter. Today, forensic standards have been set. For the first time, I think, across the world, only professional institute setting it is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. This is one step which identifies that we, or our institute, has now come of age at the global level. In various issues, in all other standards, we have been following IFAC. We have been just, going behind, and that's the way the world goes. It's not that we've done anything wrong, but in setting the forensic standards, we have set the benchmark. We are showing the way. So, those issues have also to be considered, but since I have limited time here, I would just conclude by saying that there is that consultation paper, but I don't see that small company audit totally being phased out, a total sunset, because ultimately, even in small companies, there is a lot of reliance that the government authorities have to place on the financial statements. On what basis will they place? There has to be some kind of a basis. Total basis being taken away. There is they have put a threshold there. They don't say that it's zero borrowing. Today you can't run businesses with zero borrowing. They brought down the threshold. NAFRA is looking at it from a very different angle, because they are dealing with companies which are listed, or on the threshold they are at a very high level. So for them, 250 crores is right below. According to the NAFRA's materiality level, 250 crores comes there. But I don't think it's going to go away so fast. It's a consultation that has started, and it's there, and in some form or the other, a lot of attestation of the financial statements of the smaller companies in the Indian scenario will perhaps continue for, I mean, I don't see a sunset on that 100%. I hope I've answered the questions. I had 5 minutes, I've taken 6, I'm sorry, and turning it back to you, Devashida.
Thank you very much. You see, whenever we sit in the disciplinary committee, I think Nihat Jambusaria sir will also agree with me. And if AP Singh is arguing, we are mentally ready to hear him at least for an hour. We have our coffee in front and everything, and we are mentally ready to hear him. It's nice that both of us are not in the disciplinary committee anymore, but he argues very well as the way he has argued today. Let me tell you, these small companies. I think Nihat Jambusaria at that time was the president. When this concept paper came, that you see, they said that, can we get rid of audit of small companies? What's the use of doing that? Right? The institute objected tooth and nail. Institute also said, and this is something on which I would say, I'm instigating P.R. Ramesh now, because sometimes I'm really not very sure which side he is on NAFRA or what. So I'm instigating him. The institute, you see, at that time said that, you see, NAFRA has no business commenting on small companies because NAFRA, you see, the NAFRA's threshold does not relate to small companies. That was the institute's stand. And as AP Singh has said, we said that without audit, what is going to happen to these companies? You are going to have mayhem. Right? So you see, thankfully, that concept paper was never taken forward. And I would like to think that a lot of credit should be given to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for opposing that concept paper tooth and nail at that point of time. Right? So you see, I here acknowledge the presence here of 3 or 4 very important people who are sitting here. Debayan Patro, Chairman, Eastern Regional Council. Debayan, if you could kindly stand up so that you can all see you. You see, he's a very important person. He's the first, you see, the leader in the Eastern region. Next to him, the past chairman of EIRC, Ravi Patwa. And then the, you see, incoming chairman, Ravi, the incoming chairman of EIRC, Sanjeev Sanghi, sorry. And behind him, Nitish Moore. Nitish Moore is nowadays omnipresent, here, there, everywhere. Right. So, you see, now, to P.R. Ramesh. You see, the coming into being of NAFRA, Section 132, 2017, PNB, you see, fraud, and then you see, the institute was told, and this is off the record. By the way, whatever I and Nihaj Bhai are saying are our personal opinions. We are not having a brief for the institute. We are not, you see, giving you the institute's opinion also. Right? At that time, PNB and government said that, you see, here comes NAFRA. You see, institute was objecting to NAFRA, let me say. But then we have this kind of oversight bodies all over the world. For example, FRC and then PCOB in the US. It is not new to have oversight bodies. But at that time, if I recall, Mr. Ramesh said that, look, it is going to come, so why objected? But today he was saying that many of us, we also argued that in the 15-member board of NAFRA, now it is not 15 members, 3 members will be from the institute. And Mr. Ramesh was saying that at that time, some of us, we said we have invaded NAFRA. In the sense that 3 council members will be in the board of NAFRA. That is the president of the institute, the chairman Accounting Standards Board, chairman Audit and Assurance Standards Board. What subsequently happened was that board hardly met, and all the decisions that you see NAFRA taking are through his executive committee. So the president and the Accounting Standards Board chairman and all this, they don't get to meet so frequently. So that's, the executive committee has become all powerful. So the coming into being of NAFRA and how much it is going to affect the profession. And you see, once Mr. Ramesh had said in a seminar that he has spoken on fraud in so many occasions that many people refer to him as Fraud Ramesh. So that was the time, I'm just, you see, I'm quoting him, right? So you see, you know, and recent fraud circular by NAFRA, where they have, see, such overriding effect. I don't know how many of you have seen that circular on fraud issued by NAFRA, right? So you see, you know, so Mr. Ramesh, your viewpoint on NAFRA, what is going to be its operations and regarding fraud. you see, what will be the role of auditors? And the one that I told you earlier, with the coming of technology, will test checking become extinct? Please.
Thank you. Am I audible? Yeah, good. So, first of all, I must thank Sailesh Bhai and APC because they are participating virtually. I have got a seat next to the past president Devashish Mitra. A prime seat I have got, otherwise I wouldn't perhaps have got this. But let me react to this very theme. You know, that we are talking about expectations. Sit back and analyze. This profession was started in 1949. Can you increase the volume? The profession, what will you? No problem. The profession was started in Institute of Chartered Accountants set up in 1949. Audit profession has been there much before that too. The reality is this was designed for a different era and it is not fit for this era. Audit, the way it has been designed, is not fit for this era. That's why we are all feeling this whole issue of expectation gap. What is our expectation? We want it to be the same as it is, as we've been doing. Obviously, the world has moved ahead. You have your expectations in every area. When technology was there, you recall the old computers with the floppy disks and all of it? They were so slow. But for you, it was very fast then. Today, if I gift that to you, will you be a happy person? You'll throw it out. If I gift you an old mobile of 1998, are you going to be satisfied because your expectation has gone up suddenly? Because the world has moved ahead. Realize that. And put yourself in the shoes of the persons receiving your service. And ask that question. And that is the point I'm trying to say. I can talk to you today using the landline phone of the good old days, hopefully, with all the dialing like this. I had to use pencil sometimes because my finger would pay. Are you going to be happy? No way. Our expectations have moved. Similarly, society's expectations have moved. No use debating about expectation gap. We have to address that gap. That is one reality. The second reality is, this is a world of competition. This is a world where there will be multiple service providers for the same type of services. You cannot say, I am exclusive, I am Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I am the only one who is licensed to do this and this is the only thing I will do. I will do it the way I do. I write the standards which only I can understand. And I will say my work is in accordance with the standards which I have designed. Not in accordance with the standards which you want. Third, we are a profession of 350,000 members about, in a population of 1.4 billion persons. And we are seeking privileged status. If you are not happy with Indigo, you will fly Air India. If some other thing comes late, you start cursing that. What you want from others, you don't want from yourself. You want, and I'll address this issue of small companies also. You say income tax department should not scrutinize returns below a certain value. Now in the same breath you say, no, I want to audit every company even if its audit fees are greater than its turnover. How right is that? So the point which I'm trying to address, and I'll come to NAFRA too, is the issue of relevance. First, as a profession, you have to be relevant. And you have to ask yourselves, what am I delivering? What use is it to the other person? And I'll come to on the subject of frauds. Second is the issue of reliability. The reality is, in the world, in every phase, self-governance is over. And I've said this 10 years ago, even before the Companies Act came in, I said this would be the days. And why is he quoting me now? Because at that point in time, much later, Institute said, don't worry, they told the profession. Even if NAFRA comes, we will be inside NAFRA. It is our people who will be there. You don't have to fear. Now when the thing is happening, we are asking, why is it NAFRA? How can we tame this creature and all? That's not the right thing. The reality is, there will be oversight and we have to be ready for oversight. Now, I'll address the two things which you talked about. Fraud. What is being said and what is the expectation? He used the term, all frauds have to be detected. That is not correct. The government official, Secretary MCA once said, I am not expecting you to look at the needle in the haystack. I want you to find the elephant in the room. That is the reality which is even today. We have huge corporate failures happening, huge frauds happening, diversion of funds. Shouldn't we be responsible for that? Aren't we responsible to detect a crater in the balance sheet? Nobody is asking for every small thing in the balance sheet for you to be accountable. But then if we can't find craters, why do we need audit? Ask yourself that question. So what is NFRA circular saying? And I'm not defending the circular in any way or its inconsistencies with the standard. The simple thing is, they want a mechanism for you to report frauds. Surely the expectation is not that you should find all frauds. And if you read the definition of fraud under section 447 of the Companies Act, it will beg the question, what is not a fraud? Everything is a fraud. Even if it has not happened, they say if there is no loss, it is a fraud. If there is no financial amount involved, it is a fraud. The whole host of things. Leave that aside. So, I won't lose sleep over the circular as much as I will try and address my audit mechanism to see that there is no big fraud. Because that is why I have been appointed. I have been appointed to render a certain service, as AP Singh correctly said, to provide a reasonable assurance. Now, if I want to shy away from that reasonable assurance, then why am I being paid? But there is one thing I can confirm. Most businesses, the risk which is high, if the risk is high, the rewards are high. Unfortunately, in audit, today the risk is the highest, the rewards are increasingly the lowest. That is something which we can't live with. Risk and reward has to be commensurate. Now, is there any other question you would ask?
You have avoided the main thing, the emergence of NAFRA and your views on that.
I have held that view even before and even now. The days of self-regulation are over. There will be a regulator. If you have done it, do you think industries don't have regulators? Pharma industry has a regulator. Airline industry has very, very strict regulators. You think a pilot flying an aircraft, it was a glamorous job at a point in time. Today, because of technology, everything a pilot does is automatically recorded in the systems and it becomes a reportable incident to the regulator. And the regulator comes down heavily. Hasn't the regulator come down? If some pilot has admitted somebody in the cockpit, maybe his friend, hasn't they fined the airlines? What has happened? Has the plane crashed? No. Plane landed safely. He called his friend in and said, sit down, Baba, chat for 5 minutes when it's on autopilot. So all I'm saying is the reality of oversight and regulation will be there. You will be subject to it and you can't wish away. I know where the pain point is. The pain point is why is ICAI not the NFRA? Meaning we are regulating all those. It comes back to what Nani Palkiwala said in 1983 when he addressed the Institute of Chartered Accountants, 1986. He says, who shaves the barber? I think the day has come where the barber can't shave himself. Somebody has to shave the barber too, and that is the reality.
So, you see, you have all heard who shaves the barber. That's a very important point. Before I go for the poll, you see, Mr. Parekh has been telling me, if you have heard Mr. Ramesh speak, he was speaking about the pilots. He was speaking about going from Indigo to Air India. Let me just clarify that there is no conflict of interest. He is in the board of Air India. So, you see, he is not suggesting that you travel Air India. So, you see, nowadays, you see, his mind is more about the aeronautical industry. So, that's how it is. I believe you would like to show some poll. Acha, all right. Mr. Haribhakti, sorry for having made you wait for such a long time. Right, sorry for making you wait. We are, yeah. Yeah, sorry for making you wait for such a long time. The last time I met you, I think you had come to, Sanjeev had written a book on technology. I think at that time you were also there here on technology speaking about it, right? You say, if I recall correctly, in Calcutta. My question to you is on technology. You see, AI coming everywhere you see, you hear, AI, you see, today, I think about 2 or 3 days back, the president of the ICI, he said that, look, AI cannot overtake us, you see, AI cannot, you see, replace human mind, those kind of things he said. Right, so see, with AI coming in such a, in such a very strong way, do you think that it is time that we made, AI updation to all the chartered accountants here compulsory? That they must all be, trained in AI. That technology is something that you see on which every chartered accountant must be trained. The change in technology and AI. Do you think that such a time has come? You see, Institute is dabbling with it. You see, we are not short of funds, let me tell you. Nihal bhai will agree with me, 30 crores have been already allocated for this. But you see, do you think the time has come that we make it mandatory that everybody should be trained in technology and AI? Yes, Mr. Hari Bhakti, please. Oh, you are on mute.
Okay. All right. Now you can hear me. Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this absolutely wonderful conference. My deep gratitude to DTPA for inviting me. And I'm so happy to be in this particular panel. And even more happy to answer this question of the wonderful leader we have driving this very interesting panel. So let me say that the Institute now has a fantastic opportunity to lead the creation, to co-create this new reality that we are all speaking about. Ramesh spoke about it, Mr. Singh spoke about it, Nihar spoke about it. This is a new reality that we have the chance to co-create. Let's not give it up. We need to make accounting and auditing future ready. And any concept of future readiness cannot exist without artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, what we have seen ChatGPT do, is just the beginning. The human intelligence is now being mapped at a rapidity and at a pace that I have not known. Every day, I find I'm getting obsolete even in knowing about generative AI. Already, this morning I consumed a full 1-hour webinar on the next thing that's going to happen. We're already talking about abandoning generative AI. So, to answer your question specifically, we must first have unsupervised learning voluntarily by every member of our profession. We should not allow anybody to enter into a course given by the Institute if they are not themselves certified, self-certified, and we all believe in the honesty of chartered accountants, that they have done unsupervised learning of at least 40 hours. That's my first very important input to create this future-ready accounting and auditing. And let me tell you, the world is going to be divided into only two parts. Just as the world is divided into SAP and Oracle, there will be AI-assisted human beings and human beings who are on a holiday, perpetual holiday. That's the way the world will divide itself. But let me give you 3 or 4 quick steps and very important ideas that I would hope from this forum can go out to our profession, to our government. But let me start with the good news. This morning in Kolkata, our Prime Minister spoke about auditing in the context of anti-corruption. so positively that we should all feel proud that this place of auditing is very much there in our entire ecosystem. So let me give you 4 points. We need to move from entity-based accounting and auditing to ecosystem-based accounting and auditing, with layer 1 blockchaining becoming mandatory. We need to move in a manner that we can have repository-based collaboration. So the whole conflict between NAFRA and the regulators and the ICAI and the auditors and the accountants will all be vanished. Because what you have is a common objective for all of us. We want to only consume things which are reliable. None of us want anything fake. None of us want anything which has creators in it. None of us want anything which has fraud in it. So why should we tolerate financial reporting which has any of this in it? And therefore, we need to establish at scale repository-based collaboration. And there's a whole science which is evolved around it, which I can share with whoever is interested. Third, we need to capture through pattern analytics and deviant individual instances using AI and analytics. If we don't do that, we would not have performed our duty as auditors. You talked about test check versus full population analytics. I think it has to be. Pattern analysis can only happen if your data is fed through a repository using machine learning and AI. And so therefore, the era of test checking is over. And it's all meaningless to even talk about test check. And finally, I think the Institute should lead with quantum safe encryption. The encryption that all of us are using today will be defeated by quantum computers. And they are coming. They're not too far away. It's 1 or 2 years away. We as an institute must gear up, work with our government. This is a national emergency, nothing short of that, where we must give to our country and perhaps to the world as leaders quantum safe encryption. This is a big project that ICAI should take up and take it up right away. I'll stop there. It's my passion is for our profession. I know we can lead, and I know that we need to lead in a very differentiated way. We need to bring all the economic interests together, and we can lead the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haribhakti. Thank you very much for your thoughts. You see, one thing that, 2 points. One, you said that test checking is going to go. I also believe that with technology coming in, test checking is going to go. And that will be another big change for the profession. You see, that is number one you said. Number two, you said unsupervised learning. Right? So I think you are not talking about CPE so much. You are saying the 40 hours of this thing. The chairman of East Indian Regional Council is sitting here. At some point of time, I do not want your view why you have said unsupervised. At some point of time, Devan, be ready. You have to answer this. He's saying that the technology learning should be there 100% across, but he's saying it should be unsupervised. EIRC should not have programs. Khud ghar mein jaake karo, khud self-certify karo. So what is your viewpoint? No fees to EIRC, by the way. No CP fees to EIRC. So you see, that's what he's saying. So he's smiling, so I think he's agreeing with me. So you see, just tell me, what do you think is
but EIRC will make the content.
Yes, sir.
EIRC will make the content, and that will be far more valuable than any of these little fees that you collect.
You respond to this later. He's saying EIRC should only make the content, no CP. So this is totally unsupervised. Right, so that's what EIRC should only make the content for the program. That's what he's saying. Or maybe he's saying that institute should make the content, whatever it is. But he has a point, think about it. So, you want to go for this poll? Coffee.
Well, very pertinent issues taken up by our moderator, and we had very firm views from our panelists on those issues. We would just like to have a poll that what is the views of the participants and what is the perception which they are having. So the first question is on the screen, that do you still believe in the statement auditors are watchdog, not bloodhound? We already have the views, but we would like to have views of the participants who are here and who are outside also, or maybe they are on the group. Now we come to the next poll. By the meantime, all the polls will be there on the group. You can take your time and vote for that. Audit of small companies may be done away with. Is this good for Indian economy? So you have a choice, yes, no, or can't say. If someone is still not sure what to be done, then we have kept that option. Now we come to a third poll. People using AI will replace people not using them. We are not saying that AI will replace humans. We are saying people using AI will replace people not using them. Should ICAI make it mandatory for every practicing CA to undergo technology certification of some kind? So we have heard views of the panelists. Now let's have your views. All of you will show the results before the end of the session. So thank you, Shyam. So over to the moderator.
Thank you very much. And you see, the questions that have been asked are, I think, very, very relevant. Now I will make things a bit more controversial. So you see, some of you may not also like whatever I'm saying, but these are truths of the fact. You see, these are the truths, you read them in the papers. First of all, to AP Singh, because you see, Mr. Singh, I had come to you later. Now I'll come to you at first. Fake GST invoices. It has been something coming out in the papers. A chartered accountant and auditor always says that, look, I saw all the invoices. Now, whether they've been fake, and the GST department says that you all guys did not check, and you all guys have been party to these fake GST invoices. And every time we try to take the institute forward, some case comes up of fake GST invoice, and then again we go back, right? And then, you see, you have seen disciplinary cases, but the auditor always argues, or the chartered accountant always argues, that I saw all the invoices. To me, they were not fake. I could not find out that they were fake or not. Now, it's unfair for you to catch hold of me. To what extent, what is your view on this, fake GST invoices and the responsibility of the chartered accountants relating thereto?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll try and answer to the best of my capability, because there is a lot of subjectivity involved here. Still, I'll try and answer that. But first, let me start from what is being repeated quite often and has always been repeated. Watchdog, bloodhound, and Devashista, when you said lapdog, and so many other dogs. You see, sometimes we hear people say, think out of the box. I think the time has come, as Mr. Haribhakti said, and he's tried to demonstrate, and I agree with him 100%. We are now standing at very important crossroads, where we don't think out of the box, we think of a new box. Thinking out of the box means we are still tied to that old box. Whether a watchdog or a lapdog, a dog is a dog and a dog has a master. We need to stop that analogy and forget it altogether as a sentence used by one of the honorable justices in the early part of the 20th century, because today the kind of independence and the application of mind and the skill sets required from a professional accountant are so deep and intense that the concept of being a dog, who in any case has a master, is totally out of place. Independence is a very, very different issue today in 2023. And the kind of skill sets are also very different. So that perspective should be forgotten, according to me. we should not be even referring to those perspectives. And from there I take you to the very important, to the question that you've asked me is about whether a chartered accountant should be held guilty for certificates issued after due diligence. Well, the answer is contained in the question itself. How deep, how intense, how sincere, and how effective has the due diligence been? If the due diligence has been effective, has been properly conducted, and it can be demonstrated that it has been properly conducted through documentation. In all my earlier opportunities, whenever I've got an opportunity to speak to my fellow professional brothers and sisters, I've always said there are three mantras that should guide us. And the mantra number one is documentation, mantra number two is documentation, and mantra number three is documentation. Whether the due diligence, whether the exercise of due diligence can be demonstrated through documentation, well, if it can be, then it's a very good case to defend. And if it cannot be defended through documentation, well, making verbal assertions and statements alone before regulators will not be sufficient. However, if we have that documentation in terms to demonstrate the kind of work done, then we have technical literature to support us. Although you are talking about certificates, but the analogy will 100% apply, and the technical, dictum here is contained in para A47 of SA 200, which reads as follows. Frauds may involve sophisticated and carefully organized schemes designed to conceal it. Therefore, audit procedures used to gather audit evidence may be ineffective for detecting an intentional misstatement that involves, for example, collusion to falsify documentation, which may cause the auditor to believe that the evidence is valid when it is not. And the next sentence is the most underlining sentence. And the next sentence is, the auditor is neither trained nor expected to be an expert in the authentication of documents. It is there for audits, the analogy will also apply to certification. We are neither trained nor expected to be experts in authentication of documents. So whether a documentation is false or not, whether it is a fraudulent document or not, we are neither trained nor expected to be experts in identifying it, provided we can, through the documentation that we retain as part of proof of having conducted in professional engagement, demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that we have exercised due diligence there. That is the key. And if the due diligence cannot be demonstrated, then just saying that, oh, humko kaise pata laga, that's not an issue. Now, what is the due diligence is a matter of professional judgment. And that comes through experience, that comes through training, that comes through study, that comes through overall exposure, which is an individual issue. And that's why we are here in a seminar like this, listening to each other, getting enriched from the words of such wonderful experts that are here, and each one of us benefiting. That's how we try to improve ourselves. So due diligence has to be there, it has to be demonstrated, it has to be documented, and if that can be done, then the defense is there in the technical literature in the last sentence of the second bullet point of para A47. Para A47 of SA 200 has 3 bullet points. This is the last sentence of para A47's second bullet point. That's the best I could say to you. Turning it back to you, Debashita.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. He is talking about para 8 and this. So, see, when he is arguing a case before us, we have to always open our books to see what para 8 he is talking about. Right? And when he is talking about documentation, as soon as documentation, Mr. Singh will correct me, it is SA 230, right? Documentation standard is 230, right?
SA 230, yes, sir.
230, because I'm a bit also frightened to see, quoting standards in front of you. So, SA 230. Now, when you talk about SA 230 and talk about documentation in a disciplinary proceeding, Mr. Singh, don't smile. Suddenly flood comes. There was a flood outside my office. All my documentations have been swept away by the water. Suddenly there is a fire in the office. There was a fire and everything is burnt out. Or there is a shifting of my office. What to do? In the shifting, my documents went here and there. Sir, you see, these are the kind of things that we hear in the disciplinary. I and Nihal Bhai, we have been there. You see, we hear all this. What he's saying is right, that documentation is so very important. SC 230. You see, it's so important. You see, it's between life and death now. Documentation. I think Mr. Ramesh will also agree that it's such an important area to be in. To Nihal Jambusari. Sir, every time we say, why catch hold of the auditor? There is a fraud, catch hold of the auditor. You see, there is, some fake invoice, catch hold of the auditor. Catch hold of the chartered accountant. First person you catch hold of is the chartered accountant. We have, by the way, got a SOP out that you cannot catch hold of a chartered accountant. Institute has got it during my time as a president, saying that you must give him a reasonable opportunity of being heard. You cannot arrest him just like that. We have circulated to all the government departments, right? But sir, the question is, to what extent the management is also responsible? Why not catch hold of the management? Why catch hold of the chartered accountant only? Why catch hold of the auditor only? And make name and shame him, and so that the whole world knows that this is the bad guy. The other day, the president was saying in a meeting with all the government nominees that, sir, please tell the world that hum log bhi achhe log hain. That's what he was saying. But why do you have to say that, hum log achhe log hain? You see, the world should say, because we are not responsible for, the preparation of the financial statements. So, Nihal Bhai, you see, what do you think? You see, to what extent the management also should take responsibility?
Yeah, your question, I think, is moving from controversial to non-controversial. You ask controversial question to Mr. AP Singh, you ask easy question to me, that whether management should be responsible or not. I think the first person to be responsible is the person who has performed fraud or who has done the default or offense. Unfortunately, in so many cases we have observed that the management was left untouched and chartered accountants were held responsible. Even I would give you example of a bank without naming it, where the fraud occurred, advances were given, knowing that there is no security, they are totally unsecured, they were diverted, and the chartered accountants on the board of that bank were arrested immediately, although that particular chartered accountant was in a committee where below the threshold of 5 crore loan were sanctioned, and all these loans where fraud occurred were all above the threshold of 5 crore. So this kind of situation happens. Let us say management should be held responsible and in the first place, but at the same time, if chartered accountant is guilty, it would be difficult to say that first you catch hold of him and then hold me responsible. So CA will be responsible, of course, but the government and all the agencies have to realize that if management is responsible for fraud, first they should lay their hands on management before they hold chartered accountant responsible for what has happened. So it, according to me, was a straight question which I have answered in my own way. If there is any other angle to it, you may ask and I will try to reply.
Okay, all right. As we go ahead, maybe we'll ask him.
If you permit, only on one or two things I wanted to express you. On what Sailesh Bhai said, that let it be self-certified by a chartered accountant, but at the same time make it mandatory for a CA to learn technology. Maybe he will certify himself, doesn't matter, because after all it is in the interest of every CA to learn this technology, without which it will be impossible to practice, whether it is tax practice, whether it is audit practice, whether it is IT or any other practice, even sustainability. So IT knowledge is a must, may it be self-certified, but it should be mandatory. In the annual that form which every member is filling, let the member put the figure of how many hours he spent on learning the technology. So that was one. And on small audit, only one point, that it is not that government may discontinue small company audits. It's possible that beyond a particular threshold, they may not continue with the audit. But at the same time, for small company audits, there are so many criteria to be checked. In the case of a small company, whether there is borrowing, whether there are many other criteria. Like in a small company, if all those entries are turned around, how will they catch hold of them if there is no audit? So there are so many criteria. If they are thinking at all of discontinuing small company audits, then it should be an exercise which should be thoroughly researched, and then only the decision should be taken.
Right. Thank you very much, Nehal bhai. I get this impression, Mr. saying that Mr. Ramesh may not be totally in agreement with you regarding documentation and only documentation. So you see, we will ask Mr. Ramesh to speak on this and Mr. Ramesh perception gap. The other day somebody was telling me, and mind you, it's been in discussion, get Amitabh Bachchan to speak about the chartered accountancy profession. Mind you, it's a very serious proposition. Get him to speak about the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He's charging about 7 to 8 crores. Right, so you see, get him to speak and things will get better. There is an argument that he spoke from the RBI platform, so why he cannot come and speak from here? Paid advertisement. Right, so you see, two things, your view on documentation, whether you agree, and number two, perception gap, and whether, you see, getting a person like Amitabh Bachchan to speak on behalf of the institute, would reduce the perception gap to some extent. Yes, sir.
Can I make a comment before Mr. Ramesh speak?
Yes.
You see, when I keep insisting about this documentation, and that's my belief and I will continue to do so, we need to understand that there is a sea of a difference, not a small difference. There is a huge, humongous difference between the understanding for the need for documentation and actual documentation being retained in most of the smaller and middle-sized firms in our country and the kind of firm with which Mr. Ramesh was associated and he provided his leadership. The two are totally uncomparable. There is just no compare. The genre is different. It's totally different. So that issue may kindly be kept in mind by Mr. Ramesh when he responds.
I don't know what
No, let me. Thank you for this opportunity. Let me at the outset clarify that I had no disagreement with what Mr. A.P. Singh said. But I wanted to make some additional points just in case from what he mentioned it would have got lost in the absorption. There was a recent webinar by NFRA where I made 2 points. The first point is in a way repeating what A.P. Singh said. I said, if you have not documented, you haven't done it. The reality, you can't tell a story tomorrow when you're asked by somebody else. Your work should be evident in your documentation. That's point number one. That's what he mentioned, document. The second thing which I'm going to say is also coming out of what he himself said. That's why I said I agree with him in many things, but I want to elaborate. In the NFRA seminar, I said an inking audit is not a substitute for a thinking audit. Your audit involves thinking. You execute that and that is what you ink. You can't say, I have documented that I have seen this invoice and therefore it may be a fake GST invoice, I am okay. He used the term due diligence. And he also said it varies from person to person and situation to situation. You will be guilty if you have not smelt, if you did not smell the coffee brewing or the tea leaves. It is important for you and it's obligatory on you to determine whether the evidence you are relying upon is sufficient, appropriate evidence.
And that means you have to satisfy yourself that it is not fake. If it is something which is always available in Bada Bazaar and I buy it in the remotest part of West Bengal, it should raise your antenna, right? That there is something wrong. In that NFRA seminar we had recently, I'll just give you a related example. There is a case which was discussed where an entity had, let's say, 4,000 crores turnover and maybe 2,000 crores bank borrowing. The few years later, that 4,000 crores turnover became 2,000 crores turnover. The bank borrowing went from 2,000 crores to 4,000 crores. Again, a few years later, the turnover came down to 40 crores. The bank borrowing went up to 6,000 crores. Now, isn't it the auditor's duty to ask this fundamental question, or is he satisfied with the documentation? There is a bank borrowing, there is an agreement with the bank. This is what is the issue insofar as this is the issue insofar as documentation is concerned. Documentation is about what you did. And the most important is what you did. Why you did what you did, and what did you actually do, and what did you actually find, and how did you conclude. This is all what our documentation is about. I hope AP Singh agrees with me on this. Now coming to this perception. And pardon me if I'm a bit harsh on this. Why do perceptions arise? Perceptions arise when there is opaqueness. When you can't see something, you form a view of something. When I don't know you, I form a view from the outside. It is first important, the institute also opens itself up. And let me give you an illustration. You will not agree with me, and I think Nihar will also not agree with me. I know Debashish very well, outstanding person, now past president of the institute, all fine. You all elected him. Now, what is your perception of him is based on what he has done as part of the institute. Today, unfortunately, the perception is institute is still a black box. And I'm harsh here. Because Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha proceedings are televised to those persons who elected them. But what is he doing in the institute? Is it televised? Do you know what's happening? You only judge from the output. So I'm saying, I have always held the view sunshine is the best disinfectant. Put it out in the sun, put it out in the open. You may initially, some people may grumble a bit, but once it's in the open, there are no perceptions. That is the reality you can see for yourself. So it is important, sir, that if you want to address the issue of perception gap, it is opening up entirely. Then people will exactly know what has happened. And please begin by telecasting your council meetings so that we all know what's happening inside and who's doing what.
All right. I think, you see, a lot of you will clap. You know, this is a matter of great debate in the council. Whether the time has come for us to start telecasting this live is going to come, today or tomorrow. It's a matter of, debate in the council. There is a viewpoint that maybe we should wait. There is a viewpoint that no, let us go open. You know, me and I have been with him, I have been his vice president, both of us, we have been always saying that transparency has to be a very important word in the corridors of the institute. And I totally agree with him, that transparency is so very important, so very important. Institute being opaque, I would not like to think so. 32 council members, yes, they wield a lot of power, because these 32 council members, Kashiji will also agree with me, the elected members, they almost run the whole accounting profession in India. And not only in India and abroad, we have now 46 overseas chapters, presence in 80 cities, 45 countries of the world. You see, institute is now a global body, not an Indian body anymore. It's a global body. And these 32 council members, yes, they are extremely powerful. There is no doubt about that. What he's saying is this, open up. Right, so see, I think we will have to, because we have no other choice. We will have to. Right, so see, the last question to Mr. Hari Bhakti.
Already hired.
Mr. Singh, he has not said pro bono, by the way. He says that you'll pay your fees, but he wants to now only to ensure that you represent him. And you see, since he's talking about opaqueness, he's fearful that since two past presidents are here, we might complain against him. So let me tell you, we are not going to do anything of this sort.
100% defensible, sir.
I'm coming to this. That thinking and inking, whatever he said, only P.R. Ramesh can say all this. Right, only P.R. Ramesh can say all this. Right, that thinking and inking was fantastic. It's really good, really good, really good. To Mr. Haribhakti, sir, and then I will go to the audience after that. We have been told that the future, this is not here, is so much in the questions, is non-financial reporting. Sustainability is going to play a huge role in the future of the profession. BRSR is already there for 1,000 top listed companies. For those of us who are not aware of BRSR, it is business responsibility and sustainability reporting. The institute is very much into this carbon emission. We have got a guidance note on greenhouse, but we feel that the future is in non-financial reporting. PL and balance sheet is not going to be our future. Would you agree with that, Mr. Haribhakti?
Thank you very much, Mr. Debashish, because this is my favorite question. I think the future of all reporting is integrated reporting. And it has to be driven by integrated thinking, to borrow my dear friend P.R. Ramesh's word. We all have to think in an integrated manner. Because what is financial reporting really doing? It's giving you a report card of what happened. What is it that the investor who is reading a balance sheet or a set of financial statements wanting to do? That individual wants to make some prediction about how this entity is going to perform in the future. And that insight can come only through a report on all the 6 capitals that integrated thinking involves. The great news for the world is the fact that all reporting standards are now converging. S1, S2, which I had the privilege of being there on the day that they were released in London, are amazingly integrated. They have taken the US first into their fold by embracing TCFT. So now there is no argument in the United States, which has the largest GDP in the world, to not fall in line in terms of harmonized reporting on sustainability. So to my mind, there is nothing more important that the Institute can do but to switch the emphasis from pure financial reporting to sustainability-based, integrated thinking-driven, integrated reporting, following global standards. And I think the sustainability standards that have been brought up, and which I had the privilege again of discussing with the people who wrote them, are so intensely sensible and so practical in terms of being able to be implemented that we as an institute can again take the lead of embracing them and integrating them into supporting the integration of them into our BRSR, and actually leading the world in terms of not just 1,000, but all large entities in India reporting using these forward thinking, integrated thinking driven financial, not financial, but reporting to people who can then make decisions about the future.
Thank you very much. I totally agree with. The other day, we were having a discussion with Mr. Binod Rai. He's the former CAG of India. I was the president at that time. We were in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and you see, he was trying to promote IFRS Foundation. and on sustainability. So I said that, look, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India set up its Sustainability Reporting Standards Board way back in 2020. Nihal Bhai will know that, about that. And we said that we have done some great work on this. It was Vinod Roy who put his hand up, Mr. Haribhakti, let me tell you, and he said, I totally agree with you, President.
You know, even at the IFRS Foundation seminar, sir, India won phenomenal brownie points because we have made PRSR mandatory. And we are now thinking of making assurance of at least a portion of the PRSR mandatory. I think India is leading the way and the world is seeing it.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, you see, 10 minutes for the audience. I'm going to ask some tricky, a bit of difficult questions. First of all, Debayan Patro, you are the chairman of Eastern Regional Council. So, you see, I have to give you some time. Tell me about that. Unsupervised learning. Your CP hours, he is not interested in your CP hours. He is saying unsupervised is a self-certified, right? And no fees.
No, but let me correct that. What I would like people to absorb is that after this unsupervised learning, you should go to the institute programs. The entrance ticket to the institute program should be unsupervised learning. That is what I had said.
Mr. Haribhakti, for the first time, you are trying to be diplomatic.
No. That's exactly what I had in my mind, and that's what I said.
All right. You see, I can see a smile on, you see, Debayan Patra's face, smile of great relief that at least nothing bad is going to happen to EIRC. Yes, Debayan.
So, very good evening to all the respected professional colleagues. And whenever I mention about AI, it's not Air India, it's artificial intelligence. And I think this is very important because in all the discussions, it is very clear that we are trying to make the profession more relevant for the society. And if it is so, then if in the examination department we are thinking of self-paced exams, why cannot there be self-paced CPE programs? At the end, we want our members to be more relevant for the society. And if they are so, they are going to get back the value because for every debit, there is a credit. And if they have to make themselves relevant, there is no need for self-certification. So like even for the examinations department, the examiners are now checking the examination copies when the video camera is on, online. They are doing that online. So if the study that the members are doing, it's in an online mode where the video is on, and as the institute, we are ensuring that this member sitting wherever he is comfortable, from any place in this world, at his convenient time, he is upgrading himself or herself and trying to be relevant for the society, and so that at the end, he or she can keep the flag of the ICI flying very high. I think there is no problem because as council members and regional council members, we all know that the CP programs that we do is not actually for money. There are two purposes. One, very much to upgrade the members, and the second, to remain visible, to be very true. So there is no point being visible because at the end, if in a society of 1.5 billions, there are 4 lakh chartered accountants who have to be relevant for the society. I think the 64 regional council members and 32, only 96 out of those 4 lakh have to be even more responsible towards this duty so that we can actually be relevant to the expectations that the government and the society has. So I think that is
Thank you very much, Devan.
my
Thank
answer.
you very much. Thank you. A lot of people are clapping. That means they are agreeing with you. Kashiji, you have been a council member of the institute, right? See, you have contributed immensely for the well-being of the institute. Sorry if many of us are advocates here. I will come about lawyers also at some point of time. How do you think, has the institute changed for the better since the time you were a council member?
Thank you, Devashish. nice moderation at the outset, and with such panelists, I feel embarrassed also to speak, but still once an opportunity has been given to me, I will definitely share. Without naming the name of the panelist, I'll just share a couple of issues. I think then it would be good for me. Institute has all through 1949 and till 2023, I have been there till 2010, have done wonders, no doubt about it, all through proactive contributing to the best. Couple of issues, the last one Devashish mentioned relating to 40 hours, AP mentioned. Sir, this has been the vision of the ICI, the council members, the regional council, and I still recollect more than 38 years back, without CP hours, without such time of either recommendatory or mandatory position, we had the system of self-education. Whether it was the Karo, whether it was Mao Karo, whether it was tax audit, everything in distant corners. We used to go to those places and impart training, not that the members were to come to the regional council or to the branches. That was not the position. Secondly, there was no CP hour system, no fundraising was there, either by the regional council or by the study circles, which is going on right now. But still the education process and the training was based, and during those periods, there have not been any debacle in the country. Maybe 2000 Enron was there in US, but India has never experienced, save and except the Harshat Mehta or Ketan Parikh, if you say, that was again on a different footing because of the insider training, etc. But India had never experienced anything till 2000. Relating to materiality, AP mentioned very correct. We have the experience of more than 4 decades. Materiality is an aspect which takes care of a different level. For a small organization, materiality AP may be something different. For an Indian oil auditors, when we conduct the materiality aspect, then the entire process is to be different. PR Ramesh has done wonders in the entire country and internationally also for very big MNCs and everything. Materiality is to be considered in different prospects, but documentation definitely has to take care for the safeguard, because outsider or the regulators are always interested to catch hold of, as we all have concluded, auditors are the easiest person to be catch hold of, whereas they are the last person who have certified once the preparation have been done, papers have been prepared, typing has been done, it has been approved by their board of directors and everybody, it has been approved by the shareholders in their meeting, and thereafter some regulator has examined and trying to catch hold of the chartered accountant who is there, and immediately the situations are there. So I believe this is only based on documentation the things can be taken care of. Excellence, independence and integrity have been there for more than 30 years, at least I remember since 1998. For soul searching, if a chartered accountant can go, I believe more than 90% of the things would be definitely very clear. Unfortunately, easy money by the professional, sorry for my saying this particular situation, that might have created a difficulty, failing which 90% of the things can be taken care of. Sorry, sir, I have taken much more time speaking on a couple of issues. Please, thank you so much.
All right. So you see, I think all of us, we have, seen the kind of deliberations that are there, that have been there. I have been fortunate to have panelists of such eminence with us, all 4, AP Singh, Mr. Shailesh Haribhakti, Neha Jambusaria, PR Ramesh, and so many of you who are still here at 5:30. Let me tell you, for those of us who are advocates here, Mr. PM Narialwala, way back, sometime in the early 2000s, I had just come into the regional council at that time. He would say that Devashish, in my time, he was talking about 1970s. Scratch the back of a chartered accountant, you will get an economist. That is late PM Narialwala. I don't know how many of you know him, but or seen him, but I have great regard for him. He said in 1970s, scratch the back of a chartered accountant, you will get an economist. But today, he was saying, early 2000, scratch the back of a chartered accountant, you will get a lawyer. Because we were so much involved with the compliances. So he said that what he's saying thinking aspect had gone down, you see, and he said that we act more like lawyers. So you see, you know, and even today, so many of us, we appear before cases and all this, we have no difference, right? So, but what is happening is, the landscape is changing. And as P.R. Ramesh has rightly said, if you don't change, we don't survive. Simple. Don't change, don't survive. So you see, we have seen the writing on the wall in front of us. We remain opaque, whatever he's saying, don't survive. You don't have the faith of the membership with you. Cannot carry your membership with you. Cannot carry 8 lakh students with you. Cannot carry 4 lakh members with you because you are too opaque. And when you are opaque and dealing with crores of rupees, the questions will be raised, what exactly you all guys are doing? Right? So you see, you know, we cannot survive being opaque. We have to change with changing times. Auditing profession, you see, we are basically auditors, let me tell you. That's the way we started. Today, if you go to Chennai, they will say, Auditor Debashish has come. Because that word auditor is always prefixed with your name if you go to in the southern part of the country. But it has become a serious business. It has become a risky business. Risky because of the penal consequences. Risky because you are not only scared of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Because earlier we used to think, what is going to happen to me? There will be a disciplinary case against me in the institute. I know the council members, nothing is going to happen. But today, NAFRA has come, as he's saying, our oversight body has come. Today what has happened is, the Companies Act, the Income Tax Act, they lay down penal consequences. Where will you go? Which council member can save you? Nobody can save you. These are, and they are now talking about imprisonment. They are talking about naming and shaming. At the end of the day, your reputation matters. So you see, we live in challenging times. And the only way to, succeed is what AP Singh is saying and what all these panelists are saying, maybe documentation. You have to keep yourself updated. Hari Bhakti ji is saying that, you see, you know the latest about sustainability, go into newer areas. The institute is pushing you towards newer areas. For example, insolvency, more than 60% of the insolvency practitioners are chartered accountants. Social audit has come. Go to that. AP Singh rightly said about forensic audit standards. We are making it compulsory from 1st of July. Go for forensic audit. Go for these newer areas. Go for GST litigation. GST compliance, according to us, is not going to last. Only what is going to last is litigation. But for litigation, you got to be very good. You need to know the GST law very well. S.S. Gupta ji has been practicing 143. He has been practicing scrutiny assessments and everything. But in his own lifetime, he's suddenly seen faceless assessment. And he's having to, earlier he used to have a cup of tea with the income tax officer, chat with him about how are things in the household, and then you see have an assessment done. Now he doesn't even know who the income tax officer is. Simply technology has overtaken us. Now if Gupta ji says that I don't know how to tackle faceless, or why should the government bring in faceless, he'll be wrong. But if he says that in faceless I have an opportunity to show my drafting skills, in faceless I have an opportunity to show my knowledge, he'll be very much right. And that is where we are pushing the institute. Mind you, we have never opposed faceless. I recall, when I was the president, we had gone to meet Chairman CBDT. As soon as he saw me, he started saying that you have come, it was last week of July, you have come to seek extension. I said, nothing, sir. We have got a guidance note on tax audit. There are two clauses, clauses 30 and clause 44, which have undergone a change. We have made the changes. We just want CBDT to see and verify and give your comments. We have come for that. And we have also come to tell you that we are very good in forensic. We are very good in Ind AS. And you see, So many of the regulatory bodies take our help. So if you require our help, we are most welcome. As soon as he saw that, you see, first of all, there was no tea being offered because they thought that I had come to seek extension. Right? So you see, then he said that, bring tea, because you see that respect. Y.H. Maligam, you see, he knows, everybody knows. He said that the barometer of success for a profession is not its size, not its power. We say that, you see, we are the largest accounting body in the world. Right? So we are this. It is not its size, it is not its power, but it is the respect, dignity, and trust that the profession commands. That is the only barometer of success. To many of us at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and we are both past presidents, we believe that that has to be the only barometer of success. Right? So see, that is how the Institute is changing, its thinking is changing, because you see, we have been actually driven against the wall. You see, we have been told that change or become extinct. In every challenge, you see an opportunity. If you don't want to grab that opportunity, it is your problem. We might bring in IIA to have competition. Don't want competition, be top class. Right? Stand up and be counted. That's what the government is telling us. And today, the Institute is doing this. You will see the PR exercise. PR committee, when Kashiji was there, was one of the worst committees. Nobody used to bother about PR. Today, we are saying that as soon as the president had given her speech on 1st of July, 2023, within 5 minutes, her speech was there on our site. She had, inaugurated our new course. The whole study material was up there on the site. So, see, we are now changing, trying to change as fast as possible. But the Institute, as he's rightly said, and which Neha Jambusaria, AP Singh, Mr. Haji Bhakti will agree with me, cannot and is not the repository and depository of the 32 council members. It can never be that. It is your institute. And the Institute will only rise, will only do better, will only be a partner in nation building, provided all of you do very, very well. And that is, you see, I am extremely happy to be here with all of you. And you see, being in this kind of panels, I am extremely happy to God. Because, see, I have been, otherwise, if I wouldn't have been the president, I'm sure I would be sitting here. But you see, it's been such a great pleasure being with people of eminence. Professionals of eminence like P.R. Ramesh, Neha Jambusaria, AP Singh, Shailesh Hari Bhakti, and all of you. Because all of you are so eminent, and all of you are so near and dear, even if you are not chartered accountants. We follow a policy of collaboration today. With NAFRA, we are not fighting. We are saying that let us shake hands, and let us be friends, and let us collaborate. We are talking in the language of collaboration today, not language of collusion, not language of having a fight. Right? I told Mr. Pandey that, look, what we require, don't surprise us by whatever you do. He still tends to surprise us. But you see, we said, but the surprising element has gone down. So you see, we are trying to collaborate. We are trying to do well. And so, you see, with these words, thank you very much for your kind presence here. A bit few in number, but you see, thank you very much. I see, may I now request Mr. Parekh to do the needful.
Thank you, Devashida. Well, I'm sure every one of us will agree that it was an excellent panel discussion with the illustrious panelists and moderator. And I'm sure that we were few in numbers, but it's a benefit also that the attention was always diverted towards us. So those who were not here, they have missed much more than what they could have when they were here. So let's now see the result of the polls, that what's the common perception amongst us. Shyam, can we have the results, please? Well, by the time the poll, yeah. So, do you still believe in the statement? Well, it's neck to neck almost, I feel. Auditors are watchdog. Some believe that auditors should be bloodhound. So I think the times have come that what Mr. Nihar Jambuseria says is very correct, that it's somewhere in between. So the audience also believes what you say. Audit of small companies, is this good for Indian economy? No. Well, yeah, doing away with is not good for Indian economy. So now, since professionals have voted, so it's a tough call to take, because when you are thinking about economy, you are also a part of economy and you have to think about yourself also. Maybe that was one of the reasons to in this. Okay, next. People using AI will replace people not using them. Should ICI make it mandatory for every practicing CA? So you can see 88% have voted it as yes. So this can be a takeaway for all of us sitting here, the regional council office bearers, and of course the all of you sitting here, the past presidents, and so we can in fact make it a presentation or representation to the institute that it should be made mandatory. Okay, these were the three. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Now I would request Ritesh to take it over from here.
Thank you, sirs. It was really a very interesting panel discussion, and you rightly said, Vikasji, the people who are not here, they have actually missed it. Now, before we wind up the annual conference, it's time to acknowledge the core team without whom this conference would not have been successful. First and foremost, CADS Agarwala, President DTPA, who has been working tirelessly since the time he took over as President. I would request CA Devashish Mitra, immediate past President, to present a memento to CADS Agarwala. A memento. Yes, memento, please. CA Sanjay Bajoria, Chairman Conference Committee, who has been leading from the front and guiding us, guiding all of us so that we could have such a successful conference. I will request CA Devashish Mitra once again to present a memento to CA Sanjay Bajoria, Conference Committee Chairman. Next are our co-chairman, Conference Committee, CA N.K. Goel, co-chairman, Conference Committee, and CA Vikas Parak, who have ably been providing assistance and support to both the President and the Chairman, Conference Committee. I would request CA Nihar Jambuseria ji to present a memento to CA N.K. Goel, co-chairman, Conference Committee. I would now request CA PR Ramesh to present a memento to CA Vikas Parak, co-chairman, Conference Committee.
He's very happy with me as my
Without seeing blessing.
Come. No. He is the boss. He is the boss. Very good.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you very much. Now, last but not the least is our Secretary, CA Manjulata Shukla. I request our President, CA DS Agarwala, to present a memento to CA Manjulata Shukla in recognition of all the hard work she has been putting in since taking over as the Secretary of DTPA. I now request CA Shyam Agarwal, Treasurer DTPA, to offer the vote of thanks. Before we disperse after the vote of thanks, I will request all presidents, executive committee members, members of the audience to join us on the stage for a group photograph after the vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. On behalf of Direct Access Professional Association, I would like to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to all of you for making this annual conference an insightful and successful event. It has been a privilege to have such a diverse and knowledgeable group of attendees gathered here to engage on the diverse topics of professional interest. First and foremost, our gratitude goes out to all our esteemed speakers and panelists who generously shared their wisdom, experiences, and insights throughout the conference. Your presentations were not only informative, but also thought-provoking, sparkling valuable discussions that will undoubtedly have a lasting impact on our understanding of the ever-evolving professional landscape. We are truly indebted to our support partners for their unwavering support. Your commitment has been instrumental in making this event possible and ensuring its quality and excellence. Without your contribution, this conference would not have reached the level of success we have achieved. A special mention goes out to our dedicated organizing committee, our executive committee, and the past presidents, the behind-the-scenes team. Their tireless efforts in planning, coordinating, and managing every aspect of this conference has been commendable. Your hard work has created a seamless and engaging experience for all attendees. Our sincere appreciation also goes to each and every participant who took the time to attend this conference. Your active engagement, insightful questions, and valuable discussions have enriched the knowledge sharing process and created a dynamic atmosphere. Last but not the least, I would like to extend the gratitude to all the staff members, volunteers, and technical support teams and Hotel Taj Bengal who have worked diligently to ensure smooth functioning of the event. As we conclude this conference, let's take the learnings and connections we have gained here to continue striving for excellence in our respective fields. May the insights gathered here today drive positive change and innovation in the world of audit and taxation. Thank you once again for your presence and participation. We look forward to welcoming you for our future events. Before we disperse, we would request everyone to please come on the dais for a group photograph. Thank you.
Thank you.
আস্তে আস্তে ঠিক আছে নিয়েছি আমি অসুবিধা